Freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
My name is luca-zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a dream. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom.
We're not afraid.
Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and on UnitedStates.fm. This is luca-zanna, and I'll be your host. Yes, my gosh, it's more than 3 years. I cannot believe it, but I'm humble and I'm happy. Why? Because first of all, I tell you, through this show, I'm meeting the most incredible human beings. And doesn't mean that I need to agree with everything with them, but I really like them. Because I tell you, it is amazing. It is an opportunity. It's like a window to the world out there. And I tell you, it is more just now, Mojave County, Arizona, or Needles, California. Of course, K-Talks is from there. As I said, through the internet, this show is reaching places and people that I never even knew how to pronounce. So I'm very excited. I'm very humble, and thank you. Today's show is going to be very simple. I want to know, first of all, feedback from you guys, okay? Especially on our president. As I said, I'm not a Trumpy. I'm not even a Republican, but I voted for him. And I already told you why. I mean, there is no even, for me, a debate about it. But it is not just about me. It is about when I see a fellow American, especially who is a Democrat. And he's not just a regular Democrat. He's a Democrat who ran for office for probably one of the highest positions in the state of California as a senator. And he almost made it. He won the primaries against his own party and the corruption of his own party. And he never went down to bow down to the party leaders just because he's a Democrat, but he had in my opinion, the strength and the honor to stick to the principles. And that's for me the most important thing. I may agree with you or not on everything, that's not the matter. But when I see that there is integrity there and you don't bow down to corruption, I call you my brother. That's for sure. Now, the point is this. I would like to have his feedback. His name is Ronald O'Donnell, and he's been on my show probably since the beginning. I think it's my first listen, I guess, since 3 years ago. And I would like to know more, of course, what he thinks about President Trump. And we will touch a couple topics that are really passionate about it. Number one is, of course, union, right to work or no right to work. And, of course, what is the role of government? Can the government interfere in this, let's say, contract? Because after all, it's a contract between the workers, United Workers, and the business. Okay, but is the government role also to interfere or let's say influence this type of contract? Number one, and I would like to know more from, of course, what Trump is about, what is really standing on this issue. And then, of course, I'd like to talk about things like, I think probably many of you may agree or not. I don't care. It's about the minimum wage. Can really the government mandate a minimum wage? Or supposed to be a free contract between two parties in this case. Anyway, let me shut up. Let me bring him on. Ronald O'Donnell from San Bernardino County. Ronald, are you there?
I am certainly here, and it is such a pleasure and an honor for you to allow me to come back onto your show. As I've always started out when I've talked to you on this show, I've said repeatedly that you were the only person that permitted me my First Amendment right of freedom of speech on any radio broadcast ever. And I thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
I thank K-Talks for that. And, I think everybody out there knows freedom of speech is your proposition and belief system. And whether you agree with me or you disagree with me, and we've butted heads a few times, you've always given me permission to speak freely, and for that, I will forever be grateful.
Thank you. But the beautiful thing, let me tell you something. Not only we butt heads, we also learn from each other. Because I tell you, I had a lot of learning from you, and I tell you, sometimes, I don't say that I I'm always been the way I am. I made mistake myself. Sometimes I have, let's say, I hate when I go out and I start to generalize. I used to years ago say, oh my God, there is no one Democrat that can be saved. And then you proved me wrong. You were the proof that I was wrong. And I'm happy to say I'm wrong because you proved me, regardless, we may have some differences on socioeconomics. First of all, you're a man who loves America and you put the country first. And then maybe we have different ways to go around that process, but the idea that you don't betray our country just because your party leader tells you that you have to eat crap, and the crap is like, I don't know, a candy bar. It is not a candy bar. You proven you the last election, and I want to remind everybody out there, what you did was historical, in my opinion. The fact that you were not just a regular Democrat, you were a Democrat running for the Senate, and you were public say, I'm not going to bow down to Hillary. Because not just over policy when it comes to socioeconomics, and by the way, we know she's a globalist, but because she's a crook. She's supposed to be indicted. She's a woman that she's supposed to serve, at least face a jury of her peers, like any one of us would have done. No, you didn't bow down. You also, of course, risk, and unfortunately, you lost your challenge, campaign against the Republican because you didn't have any support from the Democrat, and never want to give you any support because you didn't bow down to the chairman of the party leaders there. So I tell you proved me wrong that you are, first of all, a man of integrity. You put the country first and the party way below after that. And that's right there. And then more important, look at that. We have a lot of things we agree. I mean, not only the fact that you have integrity, I believe that you are a different type of Democrat. You're like almost one of these blue-collar conservative Democrat that you believe in basic things that they are part of the human rights, like self-defense, the Second Amendment, And let's not forget about it. If I were a Democrat, I would have voted for Trump too, just because what is done right now with all this internationally free trade, that is not about free trade, the corporatism, globalism, destructions of any type of work, and I don't understand why people don't understand. These Democrats out there, they don't get it. Because NAFTA destroyed their lives, and at the same time, Clinton was going to push the TPP. So what do you think about Trump now, finally, the first day in office, removing, with executive order, withdrawing from the TPP? What do you think about that?
Well, of course, I am 100% in agreement with removing us from the TPP. But before I say that, I want to just compliment you also, because you complimented me. But I want to tell you where we met.
Mm-hmm.
I heard your song, Don't Tread on Us. I had no idea who you were. I bought the song for 99 cents.
Bravo, thank you.
And I played it, and I played it, and I played it. And there were words in there that hit my soul. They hit my bone to my soul. They hit me in the bone. And I didn't know why. I mean, I actually cried.
Wow.
Silently by myself.
Wow.
Because the words were so true. And I was a musician, I told you.
Yes.
And I never had that heart and that feeling and that love for music that you do. I had, somewhat of it, but the strength of your song, still today, is a song that when I'm low and I'm down and I'm feeling out, I put it up and it just gives me strength.
Wow.
It tells me I'm not a slave. It tells me I'll never be a slave. And that it's all in my mind. I will not bow down to Saudi Arabian princes and kings like Obama did. I will not accept Muslim Sharia law in my United States of America. I don't have to, even though I'm a white male. I am not a racist because I don't want my kids to wear burqas. I have 2 girls. I am not homophobic just because I don't want to be gay and I don't want my kids to, have to be put around the problem of going into the ladies' room and going to go to the bathroom and have a male come in there because he can't make his mind up what sex he is.
Exactly.
Thank you, Mr. Obama.
Yeah.
In other words, I can go on and on and on. But the Don't Tread on Us song, which is available online, all you got to do is hit Zanna, and it'll pop up. Don't Tread on Us. Everybody, you have to listen to the song. If you have a heart, if you believe in America, if you believe in not being a slave, if you believe in the principles of being a decent human being, listen to the words. The wood is dry. And that was the phrase that killed me, because it just told me I had to go ahead and make a change from being a Democrat sheeple and following the party leaders and say, no, not today. I can't be a phony anymore. I'm going to make a change. And I don't know where Trump's going to lead us. And I did this 3 months before the election. Now, there's a lot of people afterwards saying, oh, yeah, I voted for Trump. No, I got out there in public and said, and I begged all my other Democratic people.
Yeah.
Don't vote for this witch.
Yeah.
We'll use the W
Yes.
word,
Yes.
W letter.
Yes.
Vote
yes.
for Trump, because any change can't be any worse than what we've just done. We've just almost in 8 years turned this United States of America into a Muslim country, and it's every leadership official in this country that Obama put in and Hillary supported are Muslims. Donald Trump said we need to get foreign intervention and foreign money out of this country. I agree with that. That's why I voted for Trump. Now, he's done a number of other things since then, all, obviously a little bit questionable to Democrats, but nothing like turning the United States of America into a servant of Saudi Arabia. So with that, don't tread on us. We are not stupid. We are not slaves. We are not going to listen to the mainstream media. We are watching. We are not anarchists. We're not rebel rousers. We're not troublemakers. We're grandfathers. The only problem we have to have in this country is we have to be white males. And you can't be a white male in the Democratic Party nowadays.
I know. I mean, you heard the story. There is leadership in the Democratic Party that pretty much say, my job here is to be sure they're white. They're not going to get what they want. I mean, this is about racism. I mean, it is really upside down racist now. And this is so sad. It is very sad. But one thing, I tell you something. You were more than just a Democrat out there ahead of your time. I think you were the only elected Democrat that I know in the States, especially running for a position like state Senate, okay? You weren't just running for city council. That you were public, and you said, I'm not going to vote for Hillary. And you know what? I tell you something, beyond politics, beyond policies or whatever, philosophies, the fact that this woman, she's supposed to face criminal charges, the fact that this woman, we know very well that people can say, Bush supposed to be indicted. Yes, I think Bush has to go through that, but that doesn't justify that Bush was a criminal, that we're going to let Hillary go just because Bush was an evil person. What she did, I think, is beyond Bush, by the way. And, I hated Bush. I was probably one of the first Republicans, at least in Mojave County, to completely expose and, go after Bush. My point is this one. What I learned from you, I came here to this party, to the radio. I was still a Republican. Even, of course, I clash a lot. I was always never silent like you are. I was always speaking my mind. But after, learning from you and understanding that these parties, they were keeping us separated, I said, it's time to get rid of these parties, at least for me. Of course, you need to stay in the party till work in the system. But I think we need to unite as Americans. And when we talk to each other like we've been doing on the show, I tell you, I think probably maybe you learn something from me. I know for sure I learned something from you. And that's the way we can get this country back. I forget about the colors of our skin, of our parties. We look at issues. We use our logic and the principles. As you said, we are nobody's slaves. We are free human beings.
We need an epicenter of our movement. And our movement is, remember, our last phone call, our last conversation.
Yes.
Not the radio show. Our conversation was, wait, we have to put God first. Then we have to put our country second. Because you can't have a country if you don't believe in God. And then third is your party, whether you want to be a Democrat or Republican or whatever, you know. There's others. There's about 8 parties out there, Green Party. But where are we at? We're at America first. America first. And I keep hearing from Trump everything that you and I were discussing 3 years ago. I think it's a repeat of the Love, Guns, and Freedom show.
Yeah.
Trump is nothing other than a repeat of what you've been saying for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I applaud that. Don't get me wrong. What it means is there were tens and tens of millions of people that believed the same thing, and they voted for Donald Trump. Now, I pray for him every day, and I'm going to ask the listeners to please pray for Donald Trump.
Let me tell you
Because
something.
he's taking it on.
Well,
He defeated 17 Republicans, remember?
Yes.
He defeated 17 Republicans, and he defeated the entire Democratic Party. That's a guy I can respect.
Yeah. Donald,
No matter what else he does.
Ronald, let me tell you something.
He beat everybody.
When I see a Bush, okay, and the Republican Bush family siding with Hillary, I tell you, I think that whatever this guy is about, I will support that guy. When I see, no, seriously, I mean, when you see, I mean, think about it. Even I'm not agree with everything. When I see the biggest crooks of the world, the Bush family, with the Clintons, because I tell you something, guys, I was against the phony wars that Bush started it, okay? With the phony Afghanistan, the phony Iraq, it was all a fraud. We know that. Even now, we know the proof is still nobody wants to address that in the Republican Party, okay? My point is, Clinton has been doing the same. I mean, he's continuing the agenda in the Middle East. Look at Syria. Look at Libya. How many innocent die? How many of our soldiers they killed? How many innocent people died? Even Gaddafi, the poor bastard, just because, he didn't bow down to them. I mean, this is insane. So my point is, our Democrat who was opposing Bush during the phony wars now had the audacity to go out and say, yes, Obama, by the way, you dropped more bombs than Bush did, by the way. You killed more innocent than Bush did, but not a war out there. And now, of course, supporting, Hillary, she's a warmonger on top of everything. So I tell you, that's for me, I could have never done, even if I was the only person in the world. So I'm telling you, now we are here. My question is this. There are a couple of things, first of all. Things like, from the Democratic point of view, I think Trump is doing an incredible job with the workers, removing America from these unfair trade agreements like the TPP. Do you agree on that?
100% of the TPP, all it did was remove our jobs and our factories and our wealth to Mexico, China, Taiwan, Formosa, Indonesia, India, and by the way, not in the Middle East because they don't work down there.
And remember also, the fact that there was no more governments. They were pretty much useless. I mean, elected government, they would be bypassed by an unelected group of bureaucrats representing corporations. They would pretty much write down the rules without any type of recourse. I mean, we would have no recourse on whatever they want to do to us. I mean, this is insane. I mean, I can elect a politician and, fire him after a few years. But with them, that's completely globalist, New World Order tyranny. Now, besides that, what do you think about Donald Trump, meeting with the unions? I mean, the unions were very happy. Last week, they had a meeting. Do you know more exactly?
Well, Jimmy Hoffa's father was murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Hoffa's father is from Chicago. Jimmy Hoffa's father led the Teamsters. Jimmy Hoffa's father, it's no secret, was in the mafia when they built Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And that was back in the 60s and the early 70s. And then, of course, he got taken out. Jimmy Hoffa represents the major labor unions in the United States of America. And Jimmy Hoffa said that he approves of Donald Trump. Now, he did it after the election. I did it before the election.
Yeah.
But they're all starting because they didn't have the courage to say that before the election. It's a hell of a lot easier after.
I agree.
But you know what? He always felt that way. And what we said on your show, the last show, I said, what do you care, the party that is giving you the job that's paying $30, $35, $40, $50 an hour, union scale wages? You're going to look at that employer and say, oh, no, I don't want that money. He's a Republican. Well, Jimmy Hoffa Jr. is no dummy.
Mm-hmm.
He said, we'll take that money. We'll support your effort to go ahead and rebuild the infrastructure of the United States, rebuild the bridges, rebuild the roads, rebuild a 40, 50-year negligent program in this United States of America by Obama, the Bushes, going all the way back to the, dear Bill, whose only business was going out and nailing chicks.
Yep.
Clinton, I'm talking about, Hillary's wife who defended him. They neglected our country. They neglected our highways, our roads, our infrastructure, our bridges. Jimmy Hoffa Jr. is no dummy. He's seeing what's good for the American worker. He don't care if you're a Republican. He does care if you're an American.
Let me ask you something.
He's got to deal with Middle East.
Ronald, let me ask you something. 1 second only. Stay there. 1 second. The point is they had a meeting, okay? They had a meeting. Listen to me 1 second. And what I really like about Ronald.
He is a black Muslim
Ronald, okay, listen to me 1 second. The meeting that they had, Jimmy Hoffa Jr. with President Trump, what I see here, according to Breitbart, it was pretty much about, first of all, the fact that Trump removed America from the TPP and, of course, opposes the NAFTA deals and the North American Free Trade Agreement. Of course, that's what is NAFTA. And that was, I think, the most important thing that they have in common. That was a great thing. Now, my concern is one.
Exactly, but the effect of that was to put American workers to work.
Yeah, but
at union scale, not at minimum wage, $7.25 an hour.
Listen to me. I'm all for the worker getting what they deserve, okay? Because I work hard, I want to get paid accordingly. But there is only one thing that I need to understand, okay? When they, let's say, Hoffa Jr. Gets together with the president, say, congratulations for removing America from this unfair, not free trade, because they call it free trade. That is not about free. NAFTA wasn't about free trade. It was about corporatism. It was about selected group of corporations pretty much using America as a dump area for their garbage made in China or Mexico, whatever. And that's not free trade. Free trade is completely different. So the point is that was great. Now, my concern is only one. I believe in the right of the worker to get together and, they want to create a union. It's their right. Fine. My only concern is one. When the government starts to interfere with that process, because it's supposed to be a process between a private corporation and, of course, the workers getting together to create better wages, better working conditions. Understandable. That's fine. My point is, what exactly Trump has to do for what in the union process that Hoffa Jr. was somehow involved? What do you think? I would like to know more. What do you know about that? You think Trump is going to get involved in the union process? Because that's my concern. And then I tell you why it's my concern.
Okay. And I told you I would do a little research before this show.
Yes, that's why I wanted you here.
So I did. Okay. And it starts with this word called inflation. And you have to understand what I'm about to say for everything else to make sense. And let me just start with this. The formula of the American dollar is based on inflation. It's part of the formula of the creation of the American dollar. And an American dollar, at the end of 30 years, extinguishes itself. It's like a candle. It goes out in 30 years. Every 30 years, every American dollar that is created by the federal government is extinguished through the process of inflation.
It's created by the private Federal Reserve. That is not government, but go ahead,
exactly.
please.
But they are just
yes.
They are just working for the Treasury.
Yeah.
The formula you need to understand.
Yes, go ahead.
It's an economic thought, and it's not taught all over the United States of America. But it's a formula. Think about it. You have a 30-year loan. Why?
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of 30 years, you paid 3 times back what you borrowed. What you paid back plus 2 times. That's 3. Okay? So if you borrowed $1, you paid back 3. So how does that on the balance sheet in the Federal Reserve be offset? It's called inflation. There's what is a normal inflation that's acceptable. It's 3% per year. One year, 2 another year, 4 another year, 3. But over 30 years, you're going to see that's 3%. Well, when you look at 3% over 30 years, you've just extinguished that debt. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, I understand.
It's an economic concept that's been in place since they created the Federal Reserve System.
The fraud.
So the concept of the global world, new world order on the back of our dollar bill concept was any money that's printed today will extinguish in 30 years due to inflation. Get it? That's one you're going to have to look up a little bit harder.
Okay.
But the economists generally believe that high rates of inflation and hyperinflation are caused by excessive growth of the money supply. However, money supply growth does not necessarily cause inflation because it's built into the system. Some economists maintain that under conditions of a liquidity trap, which is a shortage of money, large monetary injections are like pushing on a string. In other words, this is a built-in system. That's why people go to school for economics. But that's not what this show's about. I'm only trying to tell the listeners out there, my degree, undergraduate degree is in economics, by the way, is that there's a built-in topic that will never end. It's called inflation. And inflation is the cause of and the root of all of this. Is it the root of evil? No. It is pretty much like cleaning out the system every 30 years. The debt that's created today will be gone in 30 years. That's why they're not worried about it. There'll be consequences. There'll be burdens. There'll be prices paid by people. Let me tell you what, when we get the next inflation, the big hyperinflation, what we're going to see is meat going from $5 to $10 a pound to $30 and $40 a pound. What's that going to do to you when you're on food stamps? Yours at $500 or $600 or $700 a month that you're getting in right now that buys so much food for your family is going to be actually reduced effectively to about $100 a month. What's that going to create? It's going to create problems. But I'm trying to say that introduction to you because people, they just don't understand that this system, this capitalism, this system that we live under for the last 100 years, oh my, is based on inflation. Inflation is the most valuable word.
Yes, it's true.
It's part of the economic program. And if you don't take it into account in everything that you do, then you're missing the boat. If you don't get a 3% raise in your wages today over last year, you just lost 3% because the world moves on. The economy world moves on. The formula moves on. And if you didn't get a raise the next year, let's go this way, the year before that, and you missed your 3% raise, you're down 6. If you missed it the year before, you're down 9. If you missed it the year before, you're down 12.
I get, Ronald, I get the inflation part, and I'm all with you. It's a fraud, it's an illusion, and unfortunately, we don't even really have true capitalism. This is somehow is a sort of a phony capitalism rigged on a system based on that, because the moment that every time the Treasury asks for $1, it's $1 of debt with the interest to a cartel of bankers that we know very well.
If you don't get a 3% minimum increase per year in your wages, you have lost 3% of your income. Now, do that 10 years, you've lost 30%.
I agree with you completely. Now, my point is only one. As I said, I'm all for the group of workers getting together If they want to organize in unions, it's their right. And also, of course, the other side, the corporation, the business, whatever you want to call it, they can negotiate, and that's fine. But I have two problems only. Well, in general,
May I say something first?
yeah, let me tell you the first problem.
Before we address the problem.
Let me tell you one thing. First of all,
No, wait, I just need to defend the unions 1 second.
I'm not
Before
attacking.
you attack-
I'm not attacking the unions. Like, wait a
The
second.
unions were the only people that were wise enough, smart enough, to recognize the issue of inflation, and that was why laborers had to get together and jointly ask for a 3% increase or more, if they could get it, to meet the needs of inflation, because the corporation's business profile is not to give raises every year and year after year after year unless someone demands them. And one at a time, they would simply fire someone for being a loudmouth.
I agree with you. Listen,
Oh, you want 3%
Ronald.
increase?
Ronald.
You're fired.
Ronald, listen
Oh,
to me.
you want 3% increase? You're fired.
Listen to me.
Oh, you want 3%
Ronald.
increase? You're fired.
Ronald.
So the reason, now please let me finish.
Ronald.
The reason for labor unions, and I have something here I'm going to read to you later, was because one at a time, the corporations can beat us and kill us and chase us away.
Listen to me.
Like scum on the earth.
I got it. I have
But
only.
together
Ronald, I have only 1 hour. Shut up a second, please. I don't have 3 hours. Listen to me one second. I got it. I agree with you. I never attacked the union. I said the unions have the right to organize themselves. And that's basic. 101. It's freedom of association, okay? And they're representing themselves for the best interest. Of course, the corporation is not going to give them anything for free. It's a process. It's a private contract. That's the bottom line. I'm all for with that. My point is only one. My point is, first of all, I believe in the right of the individual to work, not being submitted to be going through a union. For example, the right to work. What do you think about that? For example, there are some states I cannot get a job unless go through the unions. Some people may say, listen, the union is a good deal for you. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I don't want to be represented by a union that maybe does not represent my political beliefs. Or maybe I just want to be on my own. I have the right. For example, if you're a teacher in California, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you have to go through unions. In this state, like in Arizona, we have the right to work. What is your position on that? That's something different from, I'm not attacking unions. I'm just saying I want to defend also the individual. Go ahead.
I'll repeat. January 1st, 2017, the minimum wage is $10 an hour. If you accept less than $10 an hour, you're violating the law.
Well, no, now we go there. One second, we will go there. Answer to my question. We will go there. We have to.
Let me finish.
Please go to the question.
2018, it's $10.50 an hour. January 1st, 2019, it's $11 an hour.
Okay.
January 1st, 2020, it's $12 an hour.
Okay.
January 1st, 2021, it's $13 an hour.
I got it, Ron.
January 1st, 2022, it's $14 an hour. January 1st, 2023, it's $15 an hour. And that formula was a formula set up and voted for by the citizens of California to directly address the issue of inflation.
Okay, Ron, I have a simple question. Listen to me. The question, maybe my accent is not good enough sometimes. The question is very simple. I asked you before.
Right.
Do you support states where you do not have the right to work, like Arizona? I said I support unions, but I also support the right of the individual to have the freedom to decide if he or she wants to join the unions. For example,
I agree, but
let's
if
start
you
with
are
the-
an
let's-
employer and you don't pay the minimum wage,
wait.
I don't care if you're a union member or not. That's fine.
1 second.
But you have to pay the minimum wage.
Ronald, we will address the minimum wage in the next question.
That's freedom. No, they can pick. They don't have to join a union,
Okay.
but they have to, not the employee, because they will beat up the employee every chance they
I
get.
understand. My point is this. Well, the first question I have is a generic or philosophical question, okay? As an
Right.
individual, in some states, I cannot work unless, at least I cannot get some jobs unless I go through the unions. Okay? That's why in
Right.
Arizona we have called right to work. Okay? States, they have right to work. Okay? Okay, you have the right to work, no matter if you join or not the union. Do you support this sort of right for the individual to work even without being part of a union? For example, do you support a position like state of California where you have to go through unions if you want to get a job?
No, you don't have to go through a union to get a job.
Really?
California? Who said that?
If I want to work, wait. If I want to work for the school system, do I need to go to a union or not?
The court system?
The school system, teacher. I give you an example.
Well, my daughter isn't a union member, and she has her own school. So you have the right to work. She's exercising that now. She teaches autistic children. She's not a union member. It just means that there are some closed shops. Now, do I agree with closed shops? That's what you're asking me.
All I know that you have. I have a friend of mine. Honestly, was a relative that he was a teacher, and there's pretty much his money that was taken by the union every year. I mean, that wasn't an option. The moment that he was a teacher, he has to go through the unions. But my point is this one: there is a difference. Why there are states like you have the right to work. You don't have to be part of a union.
I understand what you're saying. Closed shops is what you're talking about.
Okay.
No, I don't agree with that.
Okay. So you don't.
I only agree with the minimum wage.
Okay.
And I don't believe in closed shops. I believe if you don't want to be a member of the union, you should be able to have the same job.
Exactly. And that's what I want to understand with you.
I am only about the minimum wage so that workers can keep a roof over their head and be able to feed their children and their families. And you can only do that by increasing the minimum wage from a, honestly, evil $7.25 an hour, which is what it is now.
Okay. Let me ask you that. This is important. Now we switch from union. At least I understand your position, and we agree on that. You know, as I said.
Wait a minute. Why do you think the Mexicans are coming across the border and working for $2 and $3 an hour? Because in Mexico, they don't even get 25 cents an hour. They get whatever the hell somebody wants to give them. So they're climbing over the borders at, I'll get $7.50 an hour. That's more than I make. Mm-hmm. I make more in a day than I make in a month in Mexico.
Oh, I understand. Now, let me tell you one thing.
I'm saying that this minimum wage should be for American citizens, not for illegal immigrants, not for illegal aliens or whatever you want to call them, okay? We're talking about a minimum wage for American citizens, whites, blacks, Hispanic background, but it's a minimum wage for American citizens nonetheless. And that president of the United States Teamsters Union just agreed with Donald Trump on that.
Ronald, I have a break. 1 second. I'm commercial. Give me 3 minutes. We will back on, okay? Listening, guys, don't go away. We will continue this conversation.
I have some history I would like to give.
No, we will give. Now we will go back into this. I tell you what I think about minimum wages after that. That is going to be my turn.
Will you play our song, Don't Tread on Us, in the meantime?
Good idea. We'll do a little commercial and then Don't Tread on Us. Thank you. Don't go away.
I want to hear that.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM, and this is a great conversation with Ronald O'Donnell.
Hey, you. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve a break. Enjoy a moment of indulgence. It's time for Zanna Coffee. Guilt-free pleasure. Zanna Coffee is the organic coffee to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Only the best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world that I selected. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade certified, sustainable organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. www.zannacoffee.com. Get your coffee bag now. Don't be cheap. Life is too short and you deserve the best. Zanna Coffee.
Don't tread on us. We're not afraid. your slaves. Don't tread on us. You crossed the line. Soon you will pay for all your crimes. After a long train of abuses and dissipation, now we've lost our patience. Yeah, you're trying to kill our Constitution, to kill our pride. Now the wood is dry. Don't tread on us. We're not afraid. You work for us. We're not your slaves. Don't tread on us. You crossed the line. Soon you will pay for all your crimes. You keep on pushing us into desperation. You lonely fuel our determination.
Here we go, guys. That was Don't Tread on Us, music and lyrics by myself. And now I have Ronald O'Donnell, that we're having a great conversation about minimum wages. Ronald, you got the floor.
Well, thank you. And by the way, just for the listeners, I want to let you know, why I love Zanna is because we don't agree on everything. And we're supposed to not agree, but we're supposed to be civilized human beings. And we can discuss our differences, and we can, run them past each other. But I think we all agree on one thing. We're Americans. And what's most important in America right now is straightening out America. We know we've had 8 years of Obama, and he's ruined it. He turned it into a Muslim sanctuary and a sanctuary city for illegal immigrants. We're going to stop that, and I'm a Democrat. And we're going to increase, with the help of Donald Trump, our president of the United States of America, who we're proud to have voted for, we're going to increase the minimum wages across the entire United States of America so that American workers can actually afford to pay the rent. They can actually afford to send their kids to school, send their kids to college. Part of the American dream. Mom and dad should be able to afford that. They can't now. And to have a decent pension for the elderly. And to keep the homeless off the streets. And we're praying for Donald Trump. Democrats are praying for Donald Trump every day. Please, Donald, help us. We've chosen you as our leader, along with the Republicans, and we're supporting you, and we're praying for you. And you could hear that through the message of our Teamsters president, Jimmy Hoffa Jr., whose father was sacrificed for
All
the
right.
labor union.
Let me stop you one second. That's good. I'm glad that, as you said, we don't need to agree on everything. The point, we are here, we try to have in a conversation, and more important, we agree on one thing. We are Americans, and we want to put this country first. I agree with you completely there. Now, my position on minimum wages. I believe, first of all, that government in general has no business to interfere between a private contract, between a private industry or corporation or individual, I don't care who is or who is she, and of course the worker. Because I tell you, the point is, let's say I am here, okay, and you pay me garbage. I'm not going to do the job. You're going to get garbage. That's the bottom line. Right. But at the same time,
we have no disagreement. There's no disagreement. The government has no right to interfere between a private contract.
Yeah, but at the same time, the same way, for example, California, there is the minimum wage. And Arizona, yes, it was voted by the people, but that's also another form of, let's say, interference. Because I don't...
Well, you can call it what you want, but what we're saying in California is that if you're going to, enter into a private contract with an employee, that the minimum you can pay an employee is the minimum wage. So we're not interfering with your contract. We know that as a good corporation, you'd like to double it or triple it, because we know that's the kind of people you are.
My question is, who dictated, or at least who set the minimum for that wages? Who was that?
So that's set by what I explained to you earlier, the inflation rate.
Okay. But my point...
Now, if you follow the inflation rate, beginning in 1968 to present, if you follow the formula that I explained to you, right now, the average worker has taken a 50% reduction in wages.
I agree with you. And that's why, differently from the 50s when you had dad going to work as a blue collar and he was able with his salary to buy a house, have a car, and mom at home, and everybody was pretty happy. And right now we have mom and dad with the credit card completely, maxed out, and still they cannot even afford the house anymore. I understand. That's exactly what means this private Federal Reserve scam system based on inflation and, of course, on printing money out of thin air. I agree with you. My point is one, though. At the same time,
I'm pointing out this. What you were never told in the economic formula was there's a built-in 3% inflation rate that goes on for 30 years. And 3% times 30 years, you're at 90%. It extinguishes the value of a dollar.
Okay.
Just in 30 years.
I understand. Now,
to keep up with that, the economists recognized that labor relations and the average individual that's working for a living does not understand this financial
Ronald,
and economic.
I'm going to make it simple on you. Very simple. I'm a worker. I'm a crazy worker. I can work because maybe I'm 18 years old, okay? I'm a kid. I know that I don't deserve more than $7, probably because I don't know anything. Probably I'm going to cost my boss money just to teach me. The point is, if I decide I want to work for $7 and the boss agrees with that, it is my right even to work for the $7. And I'll tell you something else now. When you have the minimum wages, even I understand very well the concept of inflation. I understand that. But at the same time, you're going to cut off now a big part of society, especially for the new entry workers, like the young people, or people that never really worked before, that even that minimum wages that today probably you don't really can have a family on that. You cannot even pay anything, but, just survive. I understand that. But that minimum wage gives you the opportunity to learn a job, learn at least the ethic on the job, and at the same time, we're going to have the chance to create a new stage of workers. But more important, at that point, it is a private contract between two entities, the worker and the boss. And I don't think no state or no, let's say, referendum should dictate how much I should pay. Because I tell you something, McDonald's minimum wage, let's how it work out. It work out pretty bad. Now you have McDonald's selling their crap through machines. And there are less workers probably working in the near future at McDonald's than used to have before. Many kids, they're not going to get a job, their first job at McDonald's. They're going to be somehow working, staying at home with mom or dad. Because they're not going to find a job. Nobody's going to pay $12 an hour to a kids coming out of college just because there is a law. I'm going to hire somebody that has more experience. So that's my point. It's about freedom. Now, I understand the inflation is a disaster. That's what it really kills this country. That's why we need to address the fact that we are not backed anymore by gold and silver, but we are just based on paper money created out of thin air by the Federal Private Reserve. We agree on that. What you have to say?
All right, can we agree on something?
Yes.
Can we agree that your point of view is well taken? But can I read to you?
Go ahead.
From 1898, the reason why there's a minimum wage.
Go ahead.
Okay. It's called the Homestead Strike. For the listeners, you can all look it up on the Google. Now, boys, and this is a song. Maybe you can put it to music.
Mm-hmm.
We are out on strike. You can help us if you like. But you need not till I tell you what it's about. They want to lower our wages. We think it's not right. So for union's cause, I want you all to shout. We will sing the union's praise while both voices we can raise with noble Mr. Garland as our head. You, O'Donnell, good, that's true. We give him all the praise. We can't go wrong when such a man were led. The struggle may be long. That was my great-great-grandfather. There's no one yet can say, but we'll take it as it comes for a little while. We'll fight both day and night, for we're bound to win the day. And down this great steel king in grandest style, Now let us all stand firm and take things very cool. Then you bet we'll win this strike. The men don't mind and start to act like a fool. That's sure to cause no end of care and strife. My advice to you is this. Let us work with a cool head and try to do the best things in our power. We'll have the goodwill of all, which will bring us back our bread and drive the demon hunger from our door. Let us unite with heart and hand and spread the news through this broad land. We'll not give in until the company yields. And fight with might and main and travel hand in hand to win the strike or die upon the field. Twixt Homestead and Monroe, if you believe my word at all, where once the steel works, noisy roar, 1,000 blessings did pour. There stands today with great pretense, enclosed with a white washed fence, a wondrous change of great import, transformed into a fort. That's your corporations.
Okay.
Pleasant, Pennsylvania town, not very long ago, men struck against reductions of their pay. Their millionaire employer, with philanthropic show, had closed the works till starved and made us to obey. We fought for home and right to live where we had toiled so long, but ere the sun had set, some were laid low. That meant in the grave. There's hearts now sadly grieving.
Ronald, I'm almost out of time. How long more do you need?
God help us, for it was a cruel blow. Minimum wage unions were founded by my great-great-grandfather.
Wow.
But I just want to end this with a little one-liner. Now, our troubles down at Homestead were brought about this way with a grasping corporation had the audacity to say, you must renounce your union and forswear your liberty, and we will give you a chance to die and live in slavery. Written 1898 by my great-great-grandfather, Hugh O'Donnell.
Interesting.
He's saying the very same thing that you're saying.
Interesting.
Just a different century.
I didn't know that, man. You had an interesting great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather. Wow.
But I'm going to repeat your words. 100 and almost 25 years later.
Wow.
Now, the troubles down at, instead of Homestead, we'll call it America, were brought about this way when a grasping corporation, that would be J.P. Morgan Chase, that owned Carnegie Mellon Bank.
Yeah.
Carnegie Mellon University, or Carnegie Mellon, all the Carnegie Mellon, had the audacity to say, they said this, I'm quoting this poem.
Yeah.
You must all renounce your union and forswear your liberty, and we will give you a chance to live and die in slavery. Now, can we hear that song? Don't tread on us again.
No, that's enough. We're out of time, but I really appreciate it. It was incredible, very interesting verses, and more important, I didn't know that was your relative. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. I didn't know that.
No, that's my great-great-grandfather that founded the labor unions in the United States of America.
That's what I mean. It's your blood. That's, wow, that's pretty amazing.
My blood.
Yeah, that's amazing.
He was shot dead. My grandfather was shot dead.
Wow.
And my father was shot dead.
Oh, my God. All in the Union?
Well, all because of this.
Wow. Interesting.
And I hope to get shot dead and join them in heaven.
I didn't know. We need to talk more about that.
Quit fighting for American workers. And I'm not going to swear here.
Listen, I am proud of you. I'm proud of you, for your integrity, for your courage, and even, just to bring things, even if I don't agree, as I said, on everything. But, we have always here an opportunity to learn from each other. That's what I like about the show. And I want to just close the show with one thing, at least this hour. I mean, I found repulsive the idea that what people call themselves liberals, supposed to be idea of freedom, I guess, but liberals now means the new fascism. Look what happened, for example, in Berkeley. You know, I mean, just because you disagree with somebody, by the way, Trump, he didn't bomb anybody yet, okay? He didn't do anything to anybody out there in the world.
He didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, I mean, give him a break. Give him a chance at least to start to bomb somebody, and then we can protest.
But he never did anything wrong.
I know, but my point is...
He's done nothing but help workers' rights.
Okay, exactly.
We, the workers of the Democratic Party that have jobs, support Donald Trump. That's why he won the election.
Exactly.
He could have done it without him.
But look at these people in Berkeley, for example. You know, even if Trump was whatever monster you want to imagine. I mean, bombing and burning and destroying and, you know, and beating people.
They don't have jobs. They don't work. They don't want a job. They want welfare.
I believe these people, they work for somebody. We know that now this is not just a spontaneous rioting. This is being planned and organized by the same people that were somehow applauding to stop Trump.
Hillary,
you know, for sure there is a movement behind. You know, I may say I don't know all the names, but we know that there were advertisement, you know, on different papers to hire protesters, and also pretty good money for doing their jobs, okay? And Soros is behind.
What, Zanna, and I know across this whole nation, I can speak for American white men, because that's who voted for me. I got 141,500 votes from American white men here in the desert.
We have 30 seconds.
I'm going to say this for them.
Go ahead.
We just want jobs. We just want money that we can put a roof on our heads, support our families, put food on the table, and send our kids to college. We want decent wages. We just want to be able to make a living. And this is our country, and we should not be given slave wages.
Very good. Okay, guys, listening. That was great. The hour is already out. Don't go away. We are ready for our number 2. It's going to be interesting about guns, rights, and news. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna, and there was Ronald O'Donnell from California. Do not go away.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Don't tread on us.
Do you want social justice? Now I give you social justice. The Zanna way. Don't trade on us. The Freedom Rifle by Zanna. The most affordable military-grade semi-automatic AR-15 rifle in M4 configuration. Chambered in 223 Wild. That can shoot both 5.56 NATO and 223 Remington. 4 minutes of angle for just $499. Made in the USA. Get your Freedom Rifle now. We need every law-abiding American armed with knowledge and at least one military rifle ready to defend good against evil. With every Don't Trade on Us rifle, you will get free parchment replica of the United States Constitution, free digital CD, Don't Trade on Us, free ebook, How to Become a Rifleman, free t-shirt, Slaves Are Never Armed, I Am Not a Slave, free 30-round magazine where allowed by the law, free laser engraved ejection port, Don't Trade on Us, for just $499. Go to www.freedomrifle.com, www.freedomrifle.com. Get your Freedom Rifle now.
Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and on United States.FM network. Second hour, all about guns. As I said, we come I said many times, with freedom comes responsibility. I mean, in Arizona, we are blessed. I really believe that. That's why I live here with the right. This is not an opportunity. This is not a privilege. It's a right to keep and bear arms. Not just to keep, but also bear arms without any government permits anymore. Yes, of course, I suggest you to always, let's say, I don't say apply for the CCW, but at least learn. Learn. It's our duty. You know, I mean, you must learn not just to be proficient in handling a handgun, but also to know when it's legal and also moral. I mean, for me, it's important that too, to use deadly force and also comply with our Arizona state laws. So that's why my job around, here on the air, I try to at least share this opportunity to find the way you can learn. I always say when it comes down to use of deadly force, you must be really sure what you're doing. And if you're not sure, probably you shouldn't do it. But the point is, I'm not a lawyer. Even I'm a drop-off from Rome University of Law. But for sure, I'm not a lawyer around here, and I've never been a lawyer anyway. But I like to learn, and I like to enjoy the opportunity to know from people that they know these things. That's why I bring you here the experts, the pros. And when it comes down to be a professional in the criminal defense system here in Arizona, if I had to think one name only, and I'm not telling you that because I get paid. I really believe he's a great guy. When I have to think about an attorney in Arizona to defend my life, my freedom, I would think about Marc-Victor from Phoenix area. Mark, are you there?
I'm here, and I appreciate that intro. Thank you very much.
I believe that, Mark, because you're not just a typical attorney. Normally around me, when I say attorney, is a bad word. But for you, I have a lot of respect because I believe that you believe in what you're doing. You believe in our Bill of Rights. You believe in our Constitution and state constitution. And I think you always put freedom first, and I appreciate that.
Well, that's absolutely true. I mean, I am first an activist for freedom. That's anybody who knows me, my close friends, my family, they know that I am pro-freedom through and through, and freedom is more important to me than money. Not to say that money's not important. I'm also a capitalist. I think people should peacefully make as much money as they can, but freedom is far more important to me than money, as I think it is to you too, and it should be to everybody.
Exactly. Before I bring you into this very important topic, I would like to, first of all, give a little bit, in few seconds or whatever time you need, to share a little bit about your background. You've been doing this for a while. You're a professional. Tell us a little bit about your firm, and also, you handle some very important cases in Arizona. Go ahead.
Well, for starters, I served in the Marine Corps and was deployed during Operation Desert Storm, and that experience, had a big effect on me and really taught me about discipline and attention to detail and all that important stuff. And I try to bring as much of that into my law firm as I can. And I've been practicing 23 years. Really, criminal defense is what I wanted to do. It's what I personally do and have been doing for the last 23 years. But my firm now does civil rights as well. We think that, when government actors get out of line, somebody's got to police the police. And we're doing a lot of that. We do a lot of personal injury, wrongful death stuff now as well. But on the criminal side, I handle major felony cases. I've done lots of first-degree murder with the death penalty alleged, all the way down to little misdemeanor cases all throughout the state of Arizona. We do state, federal. We do trial level. We do appellate stuff, state and federal. I've been to the Ninth Circuit several times, argued there and won more than once. And so, we're very, very involved in criminal defense, and we just like fighting the government here. That's what we do.
Exactly. And, I also like the fact that, you are really big, I don't want to call supporter because it's not about support, anything about, but, you believe in the Bill of Rights and especially the Second Amendment. I know that, and I watch some of your videos, I watch your activism. You don't just say things, you also live things. And I watch one of your videos where normally you do these seminars at the Phoenix Gun Show, and I really enjoy it, was about the use of deadly force. And I tell you, this is probably, for me, one of the most important things because, people in Arizona have the right to carry a gun. That's great. But sometimes they forget with that right, also comes responsibility to know the law. And that's something that I really see many good people, unfortunately, get in big trouble when it comes down, even just display that gun for self-defense. Can you give us a little bit of input about when is right, when is lawful to use deadly force in the state of Arizona?
Well, it's an excellent point. And, it's a talk that I do at the gun show. It usually takes about 2 to 3 hours, but there's a way really for people to get the information that I pass out, which is really the 5 things that I've boiled down to after years and years of speaking at gun shows to gun groups and really handling lots of major felony gun-type cases where people made mistakes. I've distilled all this down to the 5 most important things, and people can get it by just simply texting the word guns, G-U-N-S, to 96,000. I think that's what it is, 96,000. And if you just text that, it'll walk you right through on how to get my pamphlet, which is really everything I've got to say that really on the most important issues that will really caution people. And one of the things in there is really what I want people to think about at the moment that they're pulling it out. And it's really all detailed in there. But in essence, you know, you gotta really be willing to be prosecuted, which I think is a big deal. If being prosecuted is not something you're worth risking, then whatever it is that you're reacting against isn't a serious enough threat. So, you know, I tell people I don't like them pushing the envelope of Arizona law because usually it's the facts that we're fighting about. I mean, these defendants, they come into my office, they know what happened, they lived through it, but different people have different perceptions on what occurred, and you start changing the facts around, you've changed the outcome. And so you got to be aware of that there may be witnesses and people who say different things. But, you know, really, I don't think people should be pulling out their guns unless there's a real imminent threat of death or serious physical injury to themselves or another person who they're willing to protect. And, you know, there are times where Arizona law allows you to pull out your gun for lesser reasons, but although I tell people about what Arizona law says, I really don't recommend it. Just like what we sometimes call the castle doctrine. It's true that you don't have to retreat in Arizona, but sometimes it makes more sense if you can safely to just avoid the situation, being smart about your surroundings, try to avoid areas that, you know, you might be inclined to take a gun because they're more dangerous. There are times you don't have the option, and during those times you need to think and act quickly and make sure you're proficient with your firearm. But I'm very, very cautious. I tell people all the time, carrying a firearm ought to be boring.
Yeah. You know what? I always say in the class, I agree with you. As a general rule, if you have any doubt about using deadly force, probably you should not use it. You agree with this statement?
Yes, of course I agree with that. I think if you're carrying a firearm because, you know, you're looking for excitement, you're looking for an opportunity to pull it out, if you find yourself just looking for, hey, can I pull it out now? Hey, can I pull it out now? That's probably someone who should not be carrying a firearm because, as you alluded to, you know, there are 2 areas that I see that people ruin their lives more often than any other areas. One of them is pulling out your firearm when you really shouldn't, and the other is, of course, a DUI with an accident, drinking and driving.
Yeah.
Those 2 things actually ruin more lives than anything else, really, of good people who weren't intending to do anything wrong. But, you know, when you pull out your firearm, if you're wrong about it, you're going to be looking at a mandatory prison type of a felony. And, you know, because of mandatory minimum sentences there, it's easy for the prosecutor to extract pleas on people. And lots of times people don't want to roll the dice on a jury trial. And so it's sad. Lots of people who I think maybe could have wanted a jury trial just won't roll the dice. So really the end result of all this is you got to be extraordinarily conservative about pulling out your firearm.
Yeah. And also another thing, you know, think about it, even if you are in the right, okay? But if you have to defend yourself in front of a criminal case, we're talking about a big chunk of money. I mean, can I say conservative at least $20,000, $30,000 to defend yourself?
At least, depending on the charge.
Yes.
If you're talking about a gun case where somebody pulled it out, if you're talking about like a disorderly conduct, which is really just sort of a brandishing a firearm and disturbing another person, recklessly brandishing it, you know, you're probably looking anywhere between $20,000 and $35,000. If somebody says that you pointed it at another person, you're going to be charged with an aggravated assault. You could be 45 or even more on something like that, and that's normally without going to trial. So, you know, different lawyers charge different rates on things. I certainly would discourage somebody. You know, there are lawyers that would take these cases for $5,000 or $10,000, and I discourage people from doing that. I think you're better off with some of the public defenders, who, by the way, are very good lawyers sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I would like to say, you know, as a general rule, because, you know, I'm not a lawyer like you are, of course. I don't even give legal advices, of course. All I do, I try to at least share the statutes and, of course, a little bit of the training I have, at least put in people's mind the mindset. First of all, the best fight is the one that you can avoid. If you can avoid it, always avoid it. I mean, we agree on that. I mean, that's the bottom line. We are peaceful people. We are not here to try to go to start wars, okay, or to play movies here, okay. But also, as a general rule, do you believe that this statement, as a reasonable fear of immediate or unavoidable danger of death or serious bodily injury to an innocent person, the fact is this something that would be, as a general rule in our state, at least, I'm talking Arizona, something that would make sense to articulate as a general rule to use deadly force or display deadly force. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think if the threat is imminent and the actual threat is for death or serious physical injury, yeah, you may have no choice. And sometimes hesitating or not using deadly physical force can be the wrong answer. Sometimes you have to, you're compelled to. But you got to be very, very careful, because if you make a wrong judgment here by even just pulling out a firearm, you could be looking at a mandatory prison, very serious charge. And in addition to that, you got also, people sometimes forget that even if you are allowed to use force in self-defense, you can never use more than the minimum amount required to repel the attack. So, you might be justified in, pushing somebody or punching somebody. That doesn't mean you get to pull out a firearm. It's too much force.
It must be adequate force to the, of course, to the offense or to the attack that you receive. For example, let's make some specific case. Me and you, we are right now, I don't want to call Starbucks. I don't go to Starbucks anymore. We have a coffee place, okay? Having a coffee. And out of the blue, we're minding our business, and a bad guy in mask come inside the establishment with a shotgun, and he starts to scream. No, he doesn't even scream. He shoot around in the ceiling. Bang. Everybody's down. What do you think about that? Would be justifiable, the use of force? Let's say, oh my gosh, this guy already shot the ceiling, and maybe he's going to shoot us too. What do you think there in that scenario?
Yeah, you're probably okay in a situation like that. I think most prosecutors would look at that situation and say, some guy walks in and he's got a mask on, and we want to know what he's saying, but if he says, everybody get down, this is a robbery, or I'm going to shoot somebody, you got a guy who's recklessly discharging a firearm, and I think that's the kind of situation you can shoot somebody. But you never know. You could tinker around with the facts a little bit, and if the guy shoots his round and then he turns around and starts walking out the front door, and you shoot him in the back, you're going to have a problem.
Exactly. That's something very important you say that, because, for example, in Nevada, was a situation similar to this. There were a couple of, let's say, robbery guys that they went to this gun shop, and, they did what they did, and when they were leaving, they were shot in the back. And that changed all the dynamics. I mean, at that point, there was no more justifiable use of deadly force, because the threat wasn't anymore immediate. I mean, honestly, it was going away. So that's something people must think about it. But
Luca, when you think of a situation like this, these questions, I get these hypotheticals all the time, and the way I hear them is, hey, Mark, I'd like you to predict for me what a randomly selected a pool of jurors who we don't really know much about would think about this situation. Because if they think what you did is reasonable, you're fine. If they think what you did is unreasonable, you go to prison. Sometimes it's hard. All of us who fight for freedom, we get into discussions with people, and what we think is reasonable, sometimes they don't think is reasonable, and vice versa. I was in court this morning, and I was talking with two prosecutors, and we were talking about the drug war. And, it's hard for me to really envision how anybody could be in favor of the drug war at this point. But these two guys were, and there was nothing about anything I could say to them that they thought was reasonable. Absolutely not. So I would never want my freedom subject to what randomly selected people in the community might think is reasonable. Because some people think it's unreasonable to have a firearm at all.
Exactly. It depends on the zip code. Can change very quickly, all this. You're very right. What's reasonable, for example, in Mojave County may be not reasonable anymore in Flagstaff. Seriously, even we are in the same state. Question, I always try to go back to the sources, of course. And as you said, of course, we're going to have a jury of our peers, to unfortunately, let's say, interpret these laws. But I always try to also think about we have still some laws that they're supposed to give us some guidelines. For example, I read here, according to our ARS, Arizona Revised Statute, the definition of self-defense Only when someone is about to kill or maim, you can shoot at them. ARS 13404. That pretty much says, spell it out. Someone is about to kill or maim. At that point, we have the right of self-defense. But there is also a defense of a third person, the innocent person. It's something, of course, very volatile there. For example, ARS 13406, we have the right not just to defend ourselves, but also the innocent. For example, let's say somebody's been, I read here, for example, let's say, a very touchy could be a sexual conduct with a minor, okay? ARS 1405. I mean, that kind of touchy because, is that situation could be stopped maybe without using deadly force. I always say that first, but also can be misinterpreted. A minor can be a 17-year-old girl, maybe having sex with a 18-year-old boy. That doesn't justify for me use of deadly force. Or even, let's say, something that we have, for example, and I think it's more important, something that many states and many countries don't have, like in Europe, sexual assault. Somebody is assaulting a person sexually, raping her, you have the right here to defend her life, even with deadly force. What do you think about these two laws?
Well, I think 13411 is probably what you're talking about, and that's a statute, the crime prevention statute, that, frankly, I'm skeptical about. I think courts are skeptical about it. If you recall, years ago, this statute was interpreted in such a way by the courts that it only applied in your home. And this is why some of the gun activists in town got together and really added a section to 411 that states essentially that it applies even if you're not in your home, anywhere you have a legal right to be. And they shouldn't have had to say that, but the reason they did is because the courts treat this, in my opinion, the courts treat this section rather hostily. And I agree with what you're saying. I think that if you try to shoot and kill somebody to stop them from committing the crime of sexual conduct with a minor, the situation you lay out, an 18-year-old, or let's make it a 20-year-old, having sex with a 17-year, because there is a defense in there for a 24-month interval between the two people, then I think that a prosecutor would say, really, you couldn't break that situation up, you couldn't stop that particular crime, something short of using a firearm, and I think that's probably an argument that would be well taken. So I'm skeptical of that section. The section that deals with using self-defense to defend a third party, that's pretty standard across the United States. Most places, states will say that if you're going to defend a third party, then you stand in their shoes. So if they could defend themselves, you can defend them. Arizona also has a section, I think it's 13204, talks about mistake of fact. And so you can defend another person, and even if you're wrong about that, you're still okay as long as if what you believed had been true, then you would have been justified in using self-defense on behalf of that third party. You're okay, and I think that's the better rule. But again, it's just always about, to me, being very, very cautious. So some people, I call them yahoos, people who are excited about pulling out a firearm and using physical force or deadly physical force. If you're a yahoo, you shouldn't be carrying a firearm because it's easy to get in trouble.
I agree. And, I always believe that normally if you're a law-abiding person and, responsible, when you're armed, you become a better person. I'll give you an example. I've been here 18 years in this country, and I never even had a speeding ticket, and I never had a fist fight. Since I started to carry a gun, I behave even better than normally I used to. And I'm not proud of it, but when I was in Italy, I used to have probably $2,000 of speeding ticket before I left, and I used to be in a fist fight since I was 11 till I left the military school. So I changed, and I think that when you understand that you have such a responsibility on a firearm, it makes you become a better person if you are a person who is responsible. And I think that's very important, what you're saying here. Now, in general, you're almost ready to go. I want to just give you the last message. You said the magic word. After, let's say, the violent confrontation, the cops arrive. What is the best advice? And I'm not going to spoil it. You say better than me. The best advice you would give to your clients, what they should say or what they shouldn't say.
Well, I always tell people to just shut up and just keep it simple. You always have an opportunity to make a statement later, and that's also detailed in that same pamphlet that I am encouraging people to text 96 text the word guns to 96,000. They'll get all that laid out there. But, one of the exceptions to what I call the just shut up rule would be, if there's nobody else around to call 911, I think you got to get that done. But you don't have to go through, and again, the law doesn't require it, but I think it's prudent and helpful to the defense for you, if you're the only person, to make that call. And you're not required to lay out all the facts of what happened, and I don't recommend that you do that, but just to say, look, there's been a shooting, please send an ambulance, here's the address, bye-bye, and hang up. I think that's perfectly fine to do that.
Okay, very good. Listen, and the last thing before I let you go, we have now, let's say, the right to use this to display deadly force in just some very specific cases, like, for self-defense, to try to avoid, let's say, this sort of potential physical, damage, we're talking about the same type of situation. Tell me, you're the expert. How do you exactly interpret the new law that says that we can display deadly force? When can we display deadly force?
Well, you're talking about the section that deals with defensive display of a firearm. It's 13-421.
Correct.
And it's a fairly new section, and we don't have a lot of cases that interpret this section, but in essence it says, it's really an attempt to let you display a firearm in response to the threat of ordinary physical force. I'm not a big fan of this section. Mm-hmm. I argue it on behalf of people, but I think it's very easy to try to invoke this section and to get in trouble. But basically what it says is you can display a firearm defensively if a reasonable person would believe that what I'd say ordinary physical force is immediately necessary to protect against another person's use of unlawful physical force or, of course, deadly physical force.
Yes.
And, then they define defensive display, which is in essence just simply telling a person you got a gun, placing your hand on a contained gun, or exposing or displaying a firearm in a protective manner. You can do that, but the statute doesn't tell you what a protective manner is. I don't know what displaying a firearm in a protective manner is. There's no cases that interpret that. So, I tell people if you have to resort to that section, you should be very, very careful. Make it very clear that you're doing this in a defensive way. So I like to tell people, maybe point the firearm up or down, maybe back away, maybe say something that makes it clear. Look, I'm not looking for any trouble. Leave me alone. Get away. That kind of thing. Because if somebody says you're pointing it at somebody or you're threatening to, hey, I'm going to blow your head off, something like that, you're going to have a hard time, for your lawyer's going to have a hard time convincing a jury that was displayed in a protective manner.
Yeah, and of course, I always hear these cases that I hope people can understand that if you're on the highway and somebody, let's say, is flipping you off, that's not the case to do that. Okay, I know people that went in trouble for that. I mean, seriously, it must be always a real...
Absolutely. I tell people, I try to make a bright line rule on this and say, look, if you're in your vehicle and you pull out a firearm while you're driving down the road, you're going to be prosecuted.
Yes.
It's hard for me to think of a circumstance that you're not going to be. The prosecutors just don't buy this argument that, hey, this guy was trying to run me off the road or something like that. Mm-hmm. I once had a guy on a motorcycle who made that argument. He was on a Harley and he was cruising down the road, and his argument was somebody was trying to run him off the road, and he pulled out a firearm and pointed it at this vehicle, still got prosecuted. I just tell people, if you're in your vehicle, unless somebody's firing a gun at you, and that might be different, but even then, I don't know. It seems like you could probably get away pretty easily.
Yeah.
If you pull out your firearm, you're going to be prosecuted.
Yeah, unless you have witnesses and you have everything that you can really make a strong case. I agree with you completely. Listen, Mark, I want to thank you. You got a lot of, very busy guy. Please give the information how people can reach you out, website, everything we can do to reach you out. Go ahead.
I'm super easy to get a hold of. You can always just go to Attorney for Freedom. It's attorney and then FORfreedom.com. My whole website's there, every way to get a hold of me. You can always just put marc-victor into Google. It comes right up. But I really, for your audience, I think it makes sense for them to text the word guns, G-U-N-S, to 96,000, and then it'll walk them right through to get the most important writing that I have on this topic.
Very good. Mark, thank you very much again. I appreciate what you do, okay? Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, that was Marc-Victor from Phoenix area. I tell you, seriously, two things in life I think you should have, a good dentist and a good lawyer. And then the last thing is a good gunsmith. But we will talk about that later. I will continue this conversation about the use of deadly force and also about these new coming CCW, Arizona CCW classes. Don't go away, little break. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna.
It is time. Get your Arizona Concealed Carry Permit now with Arizona Concealed Carry Permit by Zanna Enterprises, LLC. Become a more responsible and educated gun owner. Carry legally concealed in 35 states. Carry permitted in restaurants where alcohol is served. Learn where and how you can legally carry a firearm in Arizona. Learn where you can use deadly force. Where can you display your gun or not for self-defense? Learn how to deal with law enforcement while carrying a firearm. Learn how to be aware of your surroundings and how to avoid a confrontation. Buy your gun without waiting for a background check. Get your Arizona Concealed Carry Permit now. Go to www.azccw.us. Go to www.azccw.us. Free for single mothers and people with disabilities.
Here we go. We are back into the studios, and we are here on the air. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna. This is the second hour, the hour about guns. There was attorney Marc-Victor that, I'm really excited when I bring people like him on the air because, this is, by the way, 1 hour with Mr. Victor. It's like probably, I don't know, $300 at least, okay? The fact that I can share information that at least you have an idea, because of course this is nothing. We are not trying to give you legal advices. Of course, me not for sure. I'm not an attorney, but even Mark. I'm just trying to touch generic topics. And in this case, of course, we were talking about the use of deadly force. When you can use deadly force in the state of Arizona, okay? And we were just scratching the surface. That's pretty much what we were trying to do. But the idea is, the most important thing is, or at least what I was trying to accomplish, that this is a serious matter. This is not like some action movie, where bullets supposedly fly and the good guy always wins and at the end everything's fine. No, this is not a movie. This can be very serious. Your life can be ruined. Not only you can, of course, kill some innocent person, or maybe you may use or misuse deadly force. And even if you're doing correctly, you may still pay some consequences. You may still at least have to face a jury and a prosecutor. You never know. It's not black and white, Of course, we live in Arizona, and we have gun laws that for sure they are much better, I think more protecting law-abiding people, and you have the right to defend your life. You have the right to self-defend yourself and innocence. But at the same time, you always need to use the right very cautiously. That's pretty much what I'm trying to do here, okay? Give you the type of a sense of even sometime just displaying a gun. We were talking with Mark. You must be sure that you can display the gun only when really you have to, not just because you want to show off or when you're trying to somehow intimidate somebody and there is no exactly the right reason. So we will go back into details. Meanwhile, I hope you enjoy Marc-Victor. I really do. And I hope I'm going to have him back again. Maybe we can touch more in details, other topics when it comes down to, of course, always the use of our gun rights, okay, and our guns. Now, I'd like to share with you something that I'll be starting doing, hopefully my English was correct, at the end of the month. Something that I think I'm very excited. I'm going to start to offer free gun safety classes, sponsored by Zanna Firearms Training. Okay, it's me, at least one of my companies. And free gun safety class, there is no catch. It's really free. Guess what? Why am I doing this? Why I want to start to go around and give him my time to try to share something that probably people may know, but maybe not many know. Gun safety is something that you don't want to be a jackass. You don't want to say, oh, I know, when you don't know. If you don't know, you better say, I do not know. And there is nothing wrong with that. Sometimes there are people that would be owning guns, shooting guns for years. I met them. I met them at the range, at the shooting range. I met them at the gun shops. I even met them at their homes. And I tell you, stay the hell away from them. Because it's not just what they do not know, but also the level of arrogance that they completely don't even want to hear it. And this is sad, Because this is not like, you're arrogant with something that cannot have any type of repercussion. I mean, I can be an arrogant about, I don't know, I don't watch football, whatever, about something stupid, okay? Seriously, who cares? But when you are an arrogant, knows it all, with a gun, you're a very dangerous person to yourself and to who is somebody around you. And I really believe that a society, an armed society, can be a polite society, can be a better society, but also, beside owning a weapon, you must own the knowledge. And there are not really schools out there, unless you want to pay a bunch of money, or some places they may charge you decently, but still, you're going to pay. And I always say, okay, what do I do in my life? I work hard, and I try to do my things I enjoy. And some people, for example, in their spare times, they go to churches or they go to hospitals, so they try to go, I don't know, to help their fellow men out there. Okay, they go to Africa, they go to the slums, whatever that you think is good for your soul. I believe that I would like to help my fellow human being, in this case American. In this case, of course, I live in Arizona. I would like to help you out, at least to, if you own a gun or if you would like to have a gun, at least to be a safer person. That's why I create these classes. And there's really no catch. Nobody's going to ask you for credit cards. Nobody asks you for anything. Seriously. If you want to give a donation at the end of the class, it's up to you. I will put a jar just for the gas money. I don't need them. It doesn't matter. It's the principle. It's up to you. Like when you go to church, nobody's forcing you to pay. You give what you can if you want. That's it. So anyway, I got the first free gun safety class, sponsored by Zanna Firearms Training. And it will be happening Saturday, February the 25th. Write it down. February the 25th of this year, of course, Saturday, at the Mojave Sportsman Club in Golden Valley. Beautiful club. 3155 West Ottman Road. Okay? The class starts at 12 p.m. Okay? We have a beautiful room. All paid. You don't need to stress. Everything's done. Beautiful room. We start at 12 sharp, so comes 5 minutes early. People say, at 12 I have lunch. Guess what? Bring your lunch and you eat after. So you're getting a free class, okay? And we will end about 2 p.m. It's a couple hours. What do you expect to find in this class? This is not going to be anything about shooting. No. Don't even bring your gun. Seriously. Do not bring your gun. Do not bring ammunition. This is going to be, I will have everything we need there to create this class. And I'll show you exactly what we'll talk about this class. My goal in this class is that at least one thing you will be. After this class, you will be a safer gun owner. And even if you do not own a gun, let's say I don't have a gun. Okay, you don't have a gun. That's fine. It's your right. I don't care. But at least if one day you will ever encounter a gun, could be somebody, let's say, for example, you're a teacher, okay? Let's say you're a teacher and somebody brings a gun, it's cool. Oh my God. Yes, you will call the police and everything, but meanwhile, this gun, what's going to happen to this gun? The best thing would be do not touch it, but for sure, don't make mistakes that have been done in the past when some child kills himself or kills somebody else. So I will tell you how to handle the gun. We will start from, first of all, the gun safety rules. Period. The foundations. You must really live by those rules. Then we'll go through the shooting range rules. Maybe sometimes you may go to a shooting range. And at least I want to share with you the basic shooting range rules that you should apply no matter where you go. And then, of course, I will talk also about what we have at the Mojave Sportsman Club. It is a great club, by the way, and it's very affordable. In case you want to join it for the whole family, for the all year, 365 days, minus, a couple of days of vacation, holidays, whatever there is, you pay about $70 or $75. Think about it. It's a steal. Anyway, the day, it's free for you. You come there, you come at the room. So we will talk about how to safely also store a firearm. If you have a firearm, you want to know how to safely store it, okay? How to carry a firearm. Let's say you have a firearm, already you're carrying. This is not going to be, by the way, my CCW class. That normally, I charge $85. It's about 5 hours long. at least. Now, this is about, just to give you an idea, at least, don't shoot yourself in your pants, okay? Like some people did at church in Kingman. I don't know when I go there. So I want to at least be sure that you do that right. Why am I doing all this? People say, why? I already told you. For me, this is my form of love, my form of activism in the sense, trying to, people like to say, give back to society. That's the way I want to do it. But also it's a sense of selfishness, and I tell you why. Because I really believe that, first of all, when I have a gun owner around me, I want to be sure that he's not or she's not a liability. I want to be sure that she does not or he does not shoot me in my back. That's very important. Okay, I want to be sure that when you have a gun and you're around others, you're not a danger. Should be pretty much good thing for everybody, right? Yes, I believe that. I see sometimes too many gun owners, especially at gun shows, oh my gosh, even just around. Scary. This is the right, as I said. But, with freedom comes responsibility. And I'm trying to offer you a no excuse. This is not something like, oh my God, I don't have $20. I don't have $50 for somebody can at least attend a class. No, this is completely free. All you have to do is show up and be silent till you have questions to ask and have a good attitude. That's it. What can I tell you more than that? So we'll talk about how to carry a firearm in a safe way, how to safely transport a firearm. Sometimes people need to transport a firearm. You want to be sure you do it right. Okay? Not, of course, for the law, because it's very important. Of course, we live in Arizona. You can carry transport a firearm with no stress. But sometimes you cross the state lines. You want to be sure you're doing it right. Then, of course, how to handle a firearm. Not because I'm going to teach you how to shoot. This is not the place. This is not the class. But let's say, for example, a moment that you find a gun that is not even your gun, or somebody brings a gun that say, oh my God, we have a gun here. What do we do? You want to be sure at least the gun is safe. How to handle it, how to touch it, if you have to move it. If you don't know how to do it, leave it there. Nobody touches it till somebody comes that who knows what he's doing. But if you're alone and you have to do something, let's start how to handle it. Okay, in a safe way. And then comes next, how to unload it, how to check the chamber, how to load it. Even technically you don't really need it in this class, but I want to show you how to do it right. Okay, because supposedly you may have a gun or a firearm. Then I want to also show you how to safely clean a firearm. Yes, believe it or not, you can make a lot of damages if you clean it in the wrong way, in the wrong environment. And I'm not talking about damages to the gun itself. I'm talking about damages to yourself and to even people around you. Sometimes people forget that, they may still have rounds in the gun. Or they may have rounds, ammunition around the room. And bad things happen when you are distracted, that you have a gun, that you think it's empty, and you have loose ammo around. And also don't forget, you may be breathing chemical things that sometimes people underestimate. I heard stories of people cleaning their guns on the kitchen table. Scary. Seriously. Anyway, and we will talk also about basic hygiene while you handle and shoot a firearm. Many other places, they don't tell you this stuff. But I tell you, if you have a child, if you have anybody, even yourself, if you do this regularly, you want to be sure that, you don't bring things that could be harmful to your health into your home, on you. I mean, lead exposure can be very bad, okay? Can be damaging, of course, for adults, but also can be worse for senior people and more important for children or unborn, okay? So that's something very important, okay? We will go through this beautiful curriculum that, of course, I created. I put it together. I mean, don't get me wrong. These are things that are already out there, but I wanted to compile it in a way that is going to be beautiful. You want to be happy. And, of course, don't ask me for money back in case you don't like it because it's free. But at the same time, it doesn't matter. Whenever I do something, I do it my best. And I'll try to offer you the best, like I do with my CCW classes. I mean, you can ask to my students. I go way beyond the minimum requirement by the state. Okay? So anyway, so that's the story. We will end up the class with questions and answers. Okay? Now, point reservations only. Limited seats available. Okay? To reserve, you go to freegunsafety.com. freegunsafety.com. And you can find there my email, that I'll give it to you anyway, zanna@zanna.us. ZANNA at zanna.us. I need to get your reservation. We have limited seats, okay? It's free. So please help me out with that. So I remind you again, Saturday, February the 25th, at the Mojave Sportsman Club, Golden Valley, free admission, great class. That's all I can tell you. Free gun safety class, okay? Hope to see you there. All right, that's Saturday, 25th. Sunday. So, well, what you going to do Sunday, Luca? I'm going to work, and I enjoy it, okay? We will have another beautiful CCW class in Havasu City at Havasu Gun Shop, okay? I want you there. If you didn't get your CCW yet, you should do it. And I already told you why it's so important, why I think it's, I don't want to remind you, there is an article on azccw.us, the 6 benefits why you should get, in my opinion, in Arizona CCW. We'll find out. Now, it's going to be a beautiful class because I tell you, I may have also some single mothers showing up. But, as I said, I offer this class for single moms at my own discretion. Don't be like some lady that she's in her 70s, and I want to mention her name, of course. She called me, she instant messaged me, and she said, I'm a single mom, I want to come to do the class for free. I said, how old is your child? And she said, does it matter? Yes, doesn't matter, because when I say single mom, means for a mother who still has a child or a couple of children or whatever with her at home by herself, and probably she has no resources. I went to her Facebook page of this lady. She looks like she's, first of all, I don't know, from Dynasty, the TV series, okay? All dressed up, and I don't want to pass judgment, but when I start to see all that gold flashing around, wait a second, single mom. I think probably you can afford a couple classes, more than that. So anyway, she was trying to cheap around. I said, excuse me, ma'am, no disrespect, but this class is for single mothers who have a child or at least a minor still living with them. And I want to be sure also another thing. Don't play around my words, because if I see you that you show up with a Corvette or $50,000 car, you're not going to get a free class from me, okay? I'm not the government, okay? Let me tell you this. I'm here to try to help out of my good heart people that I think and I believe they deserve it, who deserve it. That's it. I'm not trying to give work for free, okay? So that's my point. But if you're a woman who needs some help, by the way, with me also you get discretion. If you come to the class, nobody's going to know that you were having the free class. It is our personal business. Simple as that. Now, remind you this. If you want to join the class in Havasu City for the 26th Sunday, it's going to be starting at 10 o'clock, but you need to book. You need to go to Havasu Gun Shop, and you got to go there. I'll give you the phone number. Why not? Havasu, you go to Google anyway, whatever, and you put Havasu Guns, okay? Let's see, it shows up. And I give you their phone number, okay? Havasu Guns, it is exactly located at 2115 McCulloch Boulevard, okay? Lake Havasu City, phone number 928-302-1991. 928-302-1991. You reserve directly with them, okay? By the way, there is also a special if you are a couple, husband and wife, or if you are 2 women married, I don't care. If you are 2 gays, I don't care. Fine with me. All I care that you are a couple, okay? I'm not going to play around whatever sex you like. None of my business. But all I care that you are married. Let's put it this way. And I don't even care if you're married by the government. Just show me that you have some sort of, I don't know, symbolic ring or some sort of a talisman that you are a couple, okay? You like it? Good. So nobody's going to complain. Oh, I'm a gay guy. I'm lesbian. Why don't you include me? You're included too. Everybody's included. Show me that you're a couple. You get $20 off the class. That means $10 each one off. The class normally costs $85. And by the way, you get an incredible curriculum, you can go to azccw.us. You can read how much information I'm going to share with you. Okay, I'm not going to cheap around. I'm not going to just send you out fast out of the room. I want your head explodes because I want you to become the best you can be, the most responsible gun owner you can be, and more important, I want you to start the journey with me that day. Doesn't mean that after the class you know everything. No, but you will at least know what you do not know, and I will also give you for free an ebook, PDF, with all the curriculum that you've been listening to me for the last 5 hours during the class. So you have all the information, or you have all the laws. And I try to also update that for free and give it to you forever till I have my website there. As a student, you will be able to have access to this curriculum, okay, for free. So that's the story. So we have 2 beautiful dates. We have the class for the free gun safety class in Golden Valley, Saturday, the 25th. And then we have the AZ Arizona CCW class, February the 26th in Havasu City, exactly at Havasu Guns. That's enough. All right? Now, we've done enough with that. Wow, I talk a lot. I realize that. Let me take 1 second a break, and then we come back and we close up. And I want to talk a little bit about some other ideas for self-defense, okay? Do not go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna.
In this world where everything seems to be going sideways, when you need things set straight, Zanna Coffee Straight Shot Espresso. Start your day with a bang. The best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade, certified, sustainable, organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. www.zannacoffee.com. Don't be cheap. You deserve the best. Get Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com.
Here we go. Almost the end of the second hour. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna. This is the hour about guns. Before we go ahead with some news, I would like to share with you that I have the new upper for the Don't Tread on Us, the Freedom Rifle by Zanna. By the way, I don't know if you heard about it, but I would like to celebrate the U.S. Trademark Office gave us the official trademark. So, it's going to read like that. Don't Tread on Us, the Freedom Rifle. And yes, I got kind of excited. Normally, it's not exactly super easy to get this trademark, especially I'm talking about the trademark that works for the country, not just for one state. So I was very happy. Why? Because I'm working very hard to create a very unique product that I believe it's, in its own way, it's unique. People say, but what the heck, it's just another AR-15. Yes or no? Yes, there are billions of AR-15s out there, and that's great. I like that. Myself, I own several AR-15s, different brands. I go from, Armalite to Bushmaster, whatever, DPMS, whatever. But the point is, what I liked about this AR-15, it is, first of all, it works. It works in its own simplicity. It works. Always. And it is very affordable. I want to do something that it's affordable for the working man, working woman. You don't need to wait for Christmas or, when they do layaway, stuff like that. It is just $499. And it's complete. Okay? And it's made in the U.S. And it gives you also, by the way, you have lifetime warranty on the lower. Yes, lifetime warranty. I don't even think Bushmaster gives you that. No questions asked. And I work with a Plum Crazy lower. And, when you buy this gun at the shops, you will get the upper, Don't Trade on Us, and you will get a lower by Plum Crazy. Why I chose Plum Crazy? Because I think it's a great product, an incredible priced, and you get all together for $4.99. Now, the important thing, I'm not just trying to get you cheap polymer lower. Sometimes, I go to the gun shows, people say, oh, it's a polymer. Ha, ha, ha. Guess what, idiot? Before you start to laugh, let me talk to you 1 second. Did you watch the video that you can watch, by the way, on freedomrifle.com? Go watch the video. There's a video section where we put the lower polymer, ha, 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 on the asphalt, not on the grass or sand or tricks like that, on the hard asphalt in the middle of July, Havasu City, Arizona, okay? And we run these lowers, technically we put 3 lowers, strip lowers, on the asphalt, and we run them over with 11,000, let's say at least 10,000 pounds Humvee, loaded. No even a scratch. I challenge any other aluminum lower to do the same treatment, and let's see how many times they crack. Let's see how many times they bend. You cannot use them. So right there, it's a unique piece of hardware. It's a unique piece of, let's say, can I say weapon? Yes. Because at the end, for me, it's a weapon. We are the weapon, but the rifle is an extension of us. If I had to go to an environment, it can be harsh, and you may fall, or maybe under a lot of pressure, I can count on that lower. That made me feel better. Then trigger-wise, people say, oh, you have a plastic trigger. Must be cheap. I have a guy that I know is a friend, at least somebody who I know, who bought one of these rifles. They don't trade on us rifle. And after not even 3 days, say, look, I want to put like a new trigger, like one of these, let's say, bump fires trigger, because I want to shoot fast. How much cost you the trigger, first of all, I said? $300. And I told him, are you insane? You just paid $500, $499 for an incredible rifle that works, by the way, that you have lifetime warranty on that trigger, that you don't even need to lubricate because it's self-lubricated. It's made of a special material that is impregnated with Teflon. You don't even need to waste the money on oil. And you want to put $300 bump fire trigger? Let me show you something. I went to the range. You can watch this video online, of course, freedomrifle.com. And with the broken finger that I have, because technically I need to have a surgery on my index, but I still can shoot, at least rifle, I was able to perform 5 rounds pretty fast, semi-out, of course, the rifle out of the box, not tricking, nothing, not any type of modification, straight out of the box. 5 rounds exactly in 1 second. Not bad for a broken finger, okay, without even warming up, okay? How fast more you can go, semi-out? Seriously. I know that trigger is reliable. I know it's crispy. And I know that it breaks down in about 3.9 pounds. And then we did another video with Mr. Ed Mack from Plum Crazy comparing the Plum Crazy Generation 2 trigger breaking down at 3.8, 3.9, amazingly beautiful crisp, with the Bushmaster that I own, beautiful fancy Bushmaster, fluted barrel, all fancy up, with, Vortex, flash hider, whatever, $1,200 rifle. And that sucker, the trigger breaks at about 8.3 pounds. Little difference, eh? So that's what I'm telling you. Don't get bamboozled the fact that you need to spend a lot of money to get a great rifle. That's why I put so much effort and love to create the Don't Trade on Us rifle. To put it out, to try to share with you. I don't have money for advertisement for that because it's so affordable. It's going to be word of mouth, and it's happening. So anyway, I have the new uppers of the Don't Trade on Us. Right now, you can go to Havasu Guns, ready to go. Beautiful, with the new Little Magic trademark logo. Don't you love that? And you know that every rifle comes with the free bonuses. You get the free t-shirt, Don't Trade on Us. You get, of course, the free parchment copy of the U.S. Constitution. You get the free downloadable CD. Think about it. Don't Trade on Us. You get access to the ebook, free magazine, and the rear sight handle A2, it's removable, it's included. It's not like one of these cheap uppers that you pay cheap and then you have to buy an extra $50 for the rear sight. Good luck. Anyway, that's the story. Okay? Seriously. Don't forget when you buy anything I promote you here, the rifle, Zanna Coffee, one of my songs for 99 cents at zanna.us, whatever. You don't just get something beautiful that I really believe can be good also for your life. You also support this show. That's how I can keep this show going. That's how I can dedicate my time to this endeavor, I guess so. All right, guys, ready for our number 3. It's going to be an interesting hour. Don't go away. It's going to be a very hot topic. We're talking about some states where they outlaw some sexual acts. Can you believe that? In the land of the free, home of the brave. In some states, there are still laws that you could be technically in jail if you do a specific sexual act. Do not miss that. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna, ready for our number 3. Ciao.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna on United States.fm network.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and all United States.fm network. Hour about love. You know, I really like this hour because we have the freedom, still, yes, the freedom to talk about on the air of things that in many other sides of the world, parts of the world, probably wouldn't be allowed. But regardless, there's still some laws on the book, and even in our America, the land of the free, or what's supposed to be the land of the free, that pretty much could punish. Even just probably nobody's going to ever enforce those laws, but on paper, they would somehow punish 2 or more. I say more because sometimes, you know, you're not going to be just in 2 adults that out of their free will would like to enjoy themselves or some sexual practices. Let me spell it out. And of course, I will be sure that I comply with the FCC. There are some sexual acts in the states, at least in some states, that have been illegal in the past, and they're still illegal in some states. And I find it, for me, you know, regardless that I may like him or not, this is not about me, this is not about my personal preferences, you know, when it comes down to sex. This is about freedom. For example, the sodomy laws, okay? Wow. People say, disgusting. Fine, whatever, you don't need to do it. But the point is there are still some states that somehow, on their books, they completely make illegal to have sex, anal sex, I can say that on the air, yes, in some states. Even when there are 2 adults with the consent, free will, nobody's forcing anybody. I believe, in my humble opinion, people may say, look, you're disgusting. I don't care what you think about me, seriously. I really don't. This is, I'm not here to get new friends. I'm here to tell you what I think. If you really believe that you are free, that you have free choice, only God can judge you. No another man, no a judge, not even the mob out there. It means the 51% of the population can tell you how to live your life. There are some states, for example, Alabama, Georgia, Texas, you can find out. I'm going to go through that, but it is amazing. Some state laws that these sexual acts, they are like against nature and can be punished by the law. That for me, freaky. Completely freaky. Seriously. I find no difference between that and let's say the moral police of Iran or of the Taliban or other things like that. Seriously. And then it's funny because it's not just about anal sex, it's also about oral sex. For example, there is a state like Louisiana that technically is still illegal. And there is another state in Michigan, they try to pass this law that makes oral sex illegal. Are you kidding me? I would break the law just for the point, just for the cause of freedom, of course. I'll leave it like that, okay? Now, I want to hear your feedback. I'd like to know what you think about it. And I'm trying to, of course, to find both sides. And let me find, first of all, one side. Rick from Ohio. Let's see what he has to say. Rick, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, Rick. Thank you very much for calling in. Tell me what you think about that. Do you support this anti-sodomy law or anti-oral sex law? You think it should be the right thing to do, the state to tell you what type of sexual acts you can do or cannot do?
No. There is no reason that the government could tell you anything what you can do. We were born into this earth just as they were. The only thing that you go on is your faith. And between two people, even General, our new general, Mad Dog, he said he don't care what two consenting adults, when they go to bed, what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's your belief, and it's your freedom, and the government has nothing to do with that.
Okay. But what do you think when, let's say, you're in this state, like one state could be, I don't know, in this case, state of Texas, okay? Even technically there is a Supreme Court case that completely makes this illegal. But still, they try to enforce the law. At least they would like to enforce the law. And you know that you're breaking the law. And some people, they really like to follow every law. What do you think about that? Would you break the law or not?
Again, the thing is, even the state, who gives them the right to tell you what you could do?
I agree. But some people, they say, okay, it's the law.
No, it's man's law.
Okay. I agree with you. By the way, don't get me wrong. I'm with you. I'm just trying to see a little bit, be the state advocate, not even the devil's advocate. Because pretty much for me, the state is like the devil in this case, seriously.
I know, I understand. I understand that. But the thing is, it's still man's law.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
now, who are they? They are not God.
Yep.
Now, it's your belief, whatever religion or faith
mm-hmm.
or spirituality you have that you believe in,
mm-hmm.
they have no right. They have no right to come, because we have a constitution in the United States, and you cannot be discriminated against for freedom of religion.
Oh, but they got away for many years. In the past, people really went to jail.
Yeah.
It is sad. This is seriously.
Now the Pope says, well, Allah is God. Who's God? He wasn't a God.
I agree.
Or Muhammad.
Listen, don't get me wrong about the Pope, because let me tell you something. Let me tell you about the Pope. This Pope, and this is coming from a former Catholic, okay? And I say former.
He's world order.
This exactly. You're the smart guy. You know the words, the magic word. This guy is the devil for the new world order. That's it.
He changed his position now because he's going to lose his power.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what's going on. That's exactly what's going on with the Democrats and the media and everything else. They are losing their power. I watched the guy sit there and say that he was going to go against Trump if he had to use a 2x4 to hit him in the head, because he worked for all this power, and that's what they've done forever. The NWO has worked for this since before Hitler.
Yeah.
Now the alliance, and I don't know if you heard about it. I don't know if you heard about the alliance, but the alliance has come together against the New World Order, and they are taking them down.
Yes.
The last thing that this is the last thing. I mean, before it was conspiracy theory. All truth was a conspiracy theory, and that came up in 1967. CIA coined that phrase to change the narrative. Now, that didn't work. People caught on to it. And after that, now it's fake news.
Yes. Let me go back to the anti-sodomite and BJ's laws. Listen, I appreciate your feedback, and I'm glad that you're a friend of mine on Facebook. You know, you seem like to be an intelligent guy, that you know what's going on, and we need to wake up more and more fellow Americans and people from around the world, because this fight is not just in America. It's a global fight against tyranny, against the New World Order. You said the magic words. Thank you very much.
Yep.
The best for you, to you and your family in Ohio, okay?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, more calls. When I get more calls now, I would like to have maybe a lady. Let's see, a nice lady who can tell us what she thinks about these anti-sodomite or sodomite laws and anti-oral sex laws. Are they right? Any state who's tried to enforce this law, or even just to pass this law, you think is doing the right thing, or maybe not? I want to hear your opinion. Little break. Don't go away.
Hey, you. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve a break. Enjoy a moment of indulgence. It's time for Zanna Coffee. Guilt-free pleasure. Zanna Coffee is the organic coffee to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Only the best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world that I selected. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade certified, sustainable organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. www.zannacoffee.com. Get your coffee bag now. Don't be cheap. Life is too short, and you deserve the best. Zanna Coffee.
All right. As I said, now I'm going to bring you the other side of the coin, or maybe the other side of the opinion. We are talking about here on Love, Guns, and Freedom. This is luca-zanna, the final hour, the hour about law. It's not law, excuse me, about love. Anyway, about the concept that in some states, anal sex is against the law. Believe it or not, it's still on the book. There are laws still on the book in some states. And this is not about try to be sensationalist and try to create some sort of drama. No, it is really a serious topic for me. Because people may say, you know what, nobody's going to enforce the law. Probably not. Maybe not today in 2017. But the fact that this law has been on the book for many years, and in some states is still there on the book, even when the Supreme Court found it somehow unconstitutional, I think it's kind of interesting, in my opinion, disturbing. I mean, I'll tell you more about what I think about it, but, you know, I already told you, I guess. I'll tell you again. But regardless, now, it's not about me. It's not even about my opinions or my sexual practices or whatever. It's not even about that. It's about personal freedom. Does the government has that type of power to tell us what can we do in our bedroom? That's the bottom line. Even if it's against some basic, let's say, God's law, if you believe in God. Maybe not everybody believes in God. Maybe they believe in other gods. After all, we still have freedom of speech and freedom of religion. So that's my point. So I'm glad that now finally I have a great lady. She's also a great friend, Facebook friend of mine. We agree on many things, most of the things. And sometimes if we have something we disagree, that's great. That's why I want you on the show. That's why I say I really appreciate you coming on. Anyway, her name is Gaynell. I think she's from Louisiana. By the way, there is also a law there in Louisiana, according to what I found, that oral sex is against the law. Gaynell, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you for being on the show, first of all. Thank you. Now, what is your position on anti-sodomite laws? Like, for example, in the state of Texas, if you go having anal sex, not just between man and man, but also, man and woman, or man and more women, who knows? It's against the law. Technically, you could have been put in jail. Do you support this or not?
I am fabulously appreciative of it being against the law. I have no desire for such things.
Okay. So let me clarify. You support the law of that would punish, let's say, practical sexual practices like anal sex. You support that law, correct?
I support the law of being against the anal sex and such.
Okay, great. And as I said, this is not about, personal preference. It's not even about me thinking. It's about just the general concept. Now, question I have for you, okay? Let's say somebody in Texas or in other states, in their privacy of their environment, could be a house, could be a hotel, whatever they want. They're not going to do it on your face, okay? It's not like on the street they're going to start to do things like that, because that would be already a law that punishes no matter what type of public sexual act, because disturbs the peace and also infringes on other people's rights. I'm talking about, let's say, me, another woman, whatever, or more than one woman, we decide to have that type of sex. Why should we be punished? What does really infringe in your rights? Why you think the state should intervene and say, you, Mr. Zanna, how dare you? Now we caught you and we can prosecute you and you can go to jail. Why should be that applied to me when I'm not infringing on anybody else's right? I'm not doing it at your house. And after all, we are me and another or two more or whatever people that we are over 18, and we are in the complete consent of our rights or our desires. Why you want that law to apply to our right to be happy or whatever we want to do?
Personally, the law can be, as you stated it, and it can also be good in a mannerism as far as what I would think. For personal reasons, I guess,
Hello? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah, come on. Give me a nice answer, okay? I gave you a specific question. You said that you support this anti-sodomite law. That means, according to the law, if I do anal sex with another person, man or woman, depends on the state, I could go to jail, okay? Even there is a Supreme Court case, the law is still on the book. You support the law. Now, my question is, why? What difference does it make in your life? What type of infringement on your rights we are doing, or not me in general, but a person who's having anal sex in their home? Why should go to jail? After all, they're not asking you to do it with them, or they're not imposing their sexual practice with you. They just mind their business and they're having fun, or whatever they think they're good. If it's fun, I don't know, but it's their business. Why you want to pass a law or support a law that technically would make him a criminal?
I would suppose out of moral decency is how I would put it. Irregardless, there is right and wrong.
Okay.
What?
So the point is, let me understand. You're making the point, morality, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, morality should never be legislated unless there is an act that could infringe on other people's rights. For example, I cannot go on the street in the middle of a public and start to French kiss or, put my hands on some woman's butt while we're having a big French kiss. I don't care if it's a straight or upside down, gay, lesbian. I think that's something that is infringing on the other people right. That's one thing. But in my own home, in my own hotel, in my own privacy of my space, where I don't have to share the same morality that you do. Otherwise, we become like the Taliban, like the police. No, it's true. I mean, there is in Iran, it's called the moral police, the religious police. If you do anal sex in Iran, you go to jail. Seriously, what's the difference? We're supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave, and at that point, land of the free means that I have free choice to use my body with another adult in the way we like it. And morality can be good for you. Maybe it's not good for me. Maybe we have different standards. Maybe, your religion, I understand, could be something that is very bad. But we are not under a theocracy. I mean, after all, religious is something personal. And even Christ, in my opinion, I'm a Christian, okay? Believe it or not, I know
right.
I sound like kind of a libertine guy, but I am making this from a philosophical point of view. Even Christ said, you have to choose. We have freedom of choice. Otherwise, we will be slave, and everybody goes to heaven anyway. No, you can choose. So
I understand your point, and I stand together with you in your point, if you want to say. But I'm just throwing in there the limits I feel that are.
Feel battle. It's sex, okay? We're not in the battle.
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know, sometimes in some bedroom can be a battlefield, but it's still just sex. People make also love, okay? I mean, it's not that, because, as I said, what is our standard, your standard for moral? Somebody else is a different standard, okay? For example.
It's not about religion. It's about, I don't know, I want to call it moral decency.
Okay, moral decency. But my point is it doing at your home? Is it doing in front of you? Is it forcing it to join up? No. No. So why should it be punished? Hey, if somebody I want to do, I mean, after all, if the state can tell me what can I do in the privacy of my home, what food I can eat, what type of drink I can have, and what type of sex I can do, I'm just a little slave. I mean, I can tell to my dog, don't screw another dog, okay? I am the master. But that's a dog, okay? I mean, if you're a free human, you should have the freedom to do pretty much whatever you want to your body. The only thing I ask, of course, if you get sick, be ready to pay for your medical bills. That's what I ask. All right. Question. What do you think about the anti-oral sex law that is technically, I read just now, is still in act in Louisiana, your home state? Do you support that?
I had no idea of it, but I've not checked into such things.
Okay, I tell you right now, trust me, I find the law. If you want, I can read also the which law it is exactly. I know that nobody probably ever enforced it lately, but technically there is a law that says oral sex.
This is the first time I hear of it, actually.
You have to wait for the Italian guy to find this law, okay? You can find it like easy, just, I dig this stuff. I'm pretty seriously, I study these matters. This is my, profession. I study love. The show is called Love, Guns, and Freedom, after all, okay? So anyway.
Well, I do. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I do. I study into laws and such, too, but, I mean, I've not gone that far into those particular topics.
I know. Somebody has to do it. It's a tough job, and that's my job, okay? Now,
right.
Regardless that, you found it or not, trust me, there is a law that technically oral sex is against the law. Do you support this law like you support the anti-sodomite-law? Do you or not? We can get away with with the oral sex. I was almost sleeping. Can we do that according to your morals?
According to my morals, I would think so. It's not.
So that's okay, but anal sex is not okay. It's kind of a slippery slope road. When you open the door, who are you to decide what people can do or not? I mean, I can tell you the other side. If I was a very moralistic person, I would say, why not? After all, sex is only for procreation. How dare you to support oral sex? You're supposed to burn with the witches on the fire. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate, okay? Think about it. I mean, I would break the law, by the way, immediately, just for the cause, okay? For the cause of freedom, I should pretty much say this law must be broken. We all need to get arrested. And now I'm not saying to do a public event about it, but at least we should all open the windows of our homes with the light on and the windows open and tell them, we are breaking the law right now, okay? But regardless, I'm just curious to see why you think, okay, oral sex is not punishable by the law. Even there is a law in Louisiana that says no. But anal sex, you're supposed to punish it. Or at least you support the law that punishes it. Why?
It's a difference. It seems different.
It's not. Why is different?
I don't know. It just sounds more disgusting.
More disgusting. So you think oral sex is disgusting too?
No, but I think the opposite is.
Well, you said, I'm trying to read between the lines. You said more disgusting. You didn't say disgusting. So anal sex is more disgusting than oral sex.
It is disgusting, the anal thing, whatever.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not saying yes or no. I'm just saying, you said, though, that anal is more disgusting than oral. So the point, you find probably oral a little bit disgusting. Do you? You don't have to answer. You can plead your fifth, okay? You're on the show, or you can always say, pass, I plead my fifth. But I'm just trying to ask you a question.
Lollipop.
Okay. All right. Lollipop. All right. Listen. Is it just listen? Why I'm doing this? And by the way, the listeners out there, I want to be sure it's clear. I'm not trying to create the drama or this topic. Oh my gosh, out there. First of all, there are two things why I really want to talk about this in a very serious manner. First of all, we are free to talk about on the show of subjects and things that normally, or topics in many other stations, not just around the world, but also around the country, you will not be allowed to talk, especially on the airwaves. This is not satellite. This is the AM station, okay? So I'm proud to say, on K-Talks, we still have freedom of speech. One. Number two, it may sound stupid for many people out there, say, how dare you talking about this thing? We have more serious problem. No, this is the foundation of freedom. Who owns your body? You or the government? That's pretty much the bottom line, If the government can get away, tell us what we can eat, what we can drink, and also say, you got to put a seatbelt on, slave, because we say so. And then guess what? They can also tell you, okay, you can have anal sex or you can have BJs or not. Guess what? Screw you, government. And everybody, and I'm not saying this is because it's my personal or not. I'm not going to share my personal beliefs or my personal taste in sex. It's my personal life. I'm telling you in general, as principle, government and the majority of people, the 51% of the people, should never able to vote on morality, especially when we do not, or people do not infringe on other people's rights. That's the condition. So,
I got you. It's about...
Let's say, for example, I like to eat, I don't know, something very bad. I like to eat dirt from the ground. Terrible thing. Dirt. Okay? I hate it. I never would eat dirt. But some people like to eat dirt. Hey, it's their body, it's their life. What should I tell them? No eat dirt? Why should I tell them that? They're not trying to push dirt in my mouth. The same story with sex. You don't like anal sex? I understand. You find it disgusting? I understand. I may also agree with you. That's not the point. The point is, I have no business to tell other people what to do in their life. And people can say, by the way, that's against God's law. You know what?
Yeah.
Maybe that's your God. Maybe people...
I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say God wants us to speak up and speak out on those such things.
That's fine. You can speak up. You can share your opinion. Nobody said that you have to be silent. But also people say, you know what? They can also change channel. But one thing is telling them what you think. One thing is legislating against them and to punish him and to make him criminal. I mean, we can have an exchange of ideas. Say, you know what? I think you're going to hell. Fine, whatever. People can tell you, who cares? None of my business to tell me what, I should do. But my point is...
That stands to pertaining to that baloney of these women that want to get out here and literally uncover themselves completely all out in the middle of the general public or wherever else and be breastfeeding their kid. I'm afraid not.
Different thing. I never condone that. I didn't say let's do it in public or let's say infringe on other people's rights. My condition is very specific. I have two conditions. Everybody is over 18 and everybody is consensual. I mean, we have free will. Nobody is forced to do anything. And then second condition, we all respect the privacy and the decor of others. And this is not just for the gay people, also for the straight people. I mean, honestly, sometimes I go in bars or places like that. I don't really want to see the couple start to French kissing in front of me. I find it kind of offensive. If you want to go rent a hotel, go somewhere, okay? You don't need to go in front. I mean, and this is not just for the gay, lesbians, so it's also for the straight. Everybody. I think we should have all the right to be left alone and also all the right to respect each other. You know, that's the bottom line. But I find it still very, almost amazing, in 2017. And, you're not the only one, by the way. I'm not trying to get on you. I appreciate you being on the show and sharing your true opinion. But I think, in America, we're supposed to be free. And I still have a lot of people that would pretty much pass a law to outlaw my personal preferences, sexual preferences. I think that's, as I said, our standard of moral can be very different. Whatever is good for you may not be good for me. I mean, I have a lot of friends that they're atheists, and I respect them. I'm Christian. I'm not going to tell them what to do. They do what they want. And the same way with me, they know what I believe, and we get along. At that point, I don't invite them at church, and they don't invite me at their party. We do our things, but at the same time, we respect each other, and I'm not going to tell them what to believe. My beliefs may be different from them, So that's my point. Anyway, listen, I want to thank you. I want to give you the floor. Anything you want to add about the show, about me as a crazy host, and even about the topic? You want to close? I give you the floor. You close.
I think you're absolutely fabulous and love your show. And I got your point. Your point is about freedom, and liberty, which, I agree with that. Just never thought of it in that particular direction is how I want to say. I never checked into such laws, never thought about them, never researched it, But yeah, you're fabulous. Your show is fabulous.
Thank you. And I'm glad that at least we have a conversation, because this is a beautiful thing. We can talk on this show. And I'm not trying to tell you I'm right or you're wrong. I'm just trying to use my logic, tell you really if we have, the concept. I know that most of my listeners on my show believe in freedom. May have little differences sometimes on some issue. By the end of the day, we want to be free. And that's why I want to bring topics like that, because at the end of the day, there is one part of real estate that no government, even if you're rich or if you're poor, we all have the same. And no government can take away from us. It is our body. If we cannot control our body, if we are not in control of our body, we are slaves. That's the reality. And people can say, what? Only God can be the owner of my body. And I respect that. But government is not God. Okay? If your God tells you you should not have a tattoo, that's fine. It's your belief. If government tells you should not have oral sex, that's fine. It's your belief. But must never be a law that your God must impose the law, your beliefs, to the rest of us. Otherwise, we will be in a monotheistic society like Iran, like Afghanistan with the Taliban and whatever they are, or many other parts, like, for example, other countries around the world. There are. I was, seriously, I would be scared to go to places like Egypt or any place like that where technically, if you break one of the moral law, let's say I go with a woman and we do something, even like oral sex, I could be put in jail, period. Okay? And maybe even killed. So that's the thing. We are in America. All right, darling, thank you very much. And I'll send you the link of this oral sex law in Louisiana, okay? Watch it, okay?
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you, Gay. By the way, thank you for being my friend on Facebook. You're a great lady. I appreciate you very much, okay?
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that was Gay Nail from Louisiana. And I tell you, I want to give a thank you very much, because it is not an easy topic. I mean, for a guy, could be all right maybe, but it's a woman, a lady, to talk about this on the air. I respect her a lot. Thank you. And, we're having a good conversation on top. And I think maybe my point, I hope, came across. As I said, I'm not here to convince you. I'm just trying to tell you, use logic, and then you do what you want, okay? All right, guys, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with luca-zanna. This is an interesting show. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. We have more news, more about love. I may even sing a serenade. I'm in the mood today. Let me go to get Zanna coffee, because I'm getting kind of a little tired, and then we'll continue. We are almost at the end, the final hour, today's show, Love, Guns, and Freedom. Don't go away.
It is that time again. 1776, the organic coffee to brew a revolution. Brought to you by Zanna Coffee. 1776 is the best organic and GMO-free coffee beans blend from around the world to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade certified, sustainable organic coffee. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Get 1776 at www.zannacoffee.com. www.zannacoffee.com. Don't be cheap. Life is too short. 1776.
Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM in the United States, .fm network. Final hour. This is the hour about love, but also this is the hour about keeping and, straightening things out. As you know, on the show, we have complete freedom of speech. You want to come here and say that you have some ideas about me or something that you don't like about me, you're welcome. I'll ask you, of course, to keep a private life away from anybody. We are talking about here politics, talking about things that are supposed to be common things that, they are common interest. I don't want to know about your mom or about other personal things, your girlfriends or things like that. But somebody has something to say, I welcome you. I'm not going to censor you. Of course, I give you the chance to talk, and I'll give you my 2-sentence opinion. But more important, if you bring somebody else up in this conversation, let's say you have some allegations or even just some opinions, okay? We are not here to accuse anybody. We are not here even to judge anybody. It's just a radio show after all. But let's say you have some opinions about somebody. You know the way I operate. I let you talk. I invite you also here. I welcome you. But also I must give the opportunity to the person that you bring into this conversation to at least to face the opinions, you want to call them, allegations, accusations, whatever. To make it more specific, a couple of weeks ago, I had a caller that also is a friend. I know him very well. His name is Ken Rhodes from Michigan, who brought up an article by the late William Cooper, who was dead, talk radio host, a political activist, and also a book author. And he mentioned in this article that somehow he had some information that my guest that I had here a few weeks ago, Mr. Gary Hunt, who is a journalist, independent reporter, and he was somehow involved, or somehow he was the Joe Doe number 4 in this, let's say, government conspiracy at Oklahoma City with Timothy McVeigh. Now, as I said, you want to read that article? I already gave you my opinion about that. That's something I wish Mr. Cooper was still alive for many reasons, because at that point, I would like to ask him, how did you get this information, okay? But at the same time, now I would like to bring back Mr. Gary Hunt, that I'm sure he has something to say about it, and that's the spirit of the show. Mr. Hunt, Gary, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right.
How are you, Luca?
Pretty good. Thank you. Thank you for coming back. By the way, I know you're busy, a lot of things going on. And but I had to bring you back, because this is important. Also for me, it's a question of a little bit of honor. Somebody calls somebody's name, not my name, but they bring you in a conversation. You must have a chance to rebuke this conversation with facts. What do you think about these allegations from this late article by William Cooper that somehow, for what I read, he said that you were involved in some sort of a conspiracy with the government as an informant during the Oklahoma City?
John Doe 4 was supposed to be a co-conspirator of Timothy McVeigh, not of the government. But then there's mixed emotions on McVeigh.
Yeah, exactly.
I corresponded with McVeigh the last couple of months of his life, and on my webpage, and I've got what's called, in fact, if you do a Google search for McVeigh's forum, you'll see what he sent me to go public with.
Wow.
And there's a couple essays and a letter, and he explains why he bombed the Ra building and all that. People said, well, he'll at allocution when he is sentenced, he'll say he's innocent, but he didn't. He's quite stoic, and he was willing to take responsibility. And then other people said, well, they didn't really kill him. Well, the witnesses seem to think they killed him. But so all kinds of conspiracies grew out of this. But to answer your question about what Bill Cooper would probably say is, I happened to be listening on the radio. I was traveling across country at the time, and I was listening on the radio to the Bill Cooper show. And Linda Thompson was his guest, and they were talking, and Linda Thompson had found some video footage of two people walking away from the still smoking Marab building, and one of them looks quite a bit like me. In fact, my wife, when she first saw it, she said, he looks like you, but I didn't see it until I got back down to Oklahoma City later. It was May or June when I finally got down to Oklahoma City. And I went there at the request of a number of people that had responded to that picture. But she was talking to Bill that day, and she said, I have proof that Gary Hunt was part of the conspiracy. We've got video footage of him walking away from the building. And so they just picked a number. I don't know why number 4, but I became John Doe number 4 at that time. That's the background of the John Doe 4.
Just because one person saw somebody look like you. That's pretty much the story, right?
Right, and he did look quite a bit like me, except he had more belly than me and less hair than I do now. So, and he didn't walk like me. I'm a surveyor, so, I walked through swamps in Florida for many years, and I've got a sturdy walk, and this guy had a real casual walk, and there were subtle little differences. But when I say I went to Oklahoma City, I was invited down there by Glenn Wilburn, whose stepdaughter, Edie Smith, or daughter-in-law or something. Edie Smith lost 2 children in the bombing, and he had seen the footage, and he had invited me down. The defense team McVeigh's defense team had invited me down. I dealt primarily with Richard Reyna, J.D. Cash, a writer, Pat Briley, who was drunk that day that we all met at Wilburn's house, and a few other people had invited me down. I stopped by Media Bypass Magazine on the way down to answer their questions. And, after Glenn Wilburn met me, he ran this footage over and over and again, and this is the first time I'd ever seen it. And that's when I noticed, well, the guy looks a lot like me. He wears a vertical blue stripe long sleeve shirt, which I wear in the winter. And he was thin on top, thinner than I am, as I say, and his belly hung well over his belt, which mine didn't at the time. It's beginning to now, but this is 23 years later.
Wow. Question. So you were there in the same time at Oklahoma City. I'm just curious. I'm learning all these things from you, by the way. Thank you. The
first time that I recall going to Oklahoma City was May, or maybe it was June. It was after the Oklahoma City bombing. The building had been demolished, and very little remained of it.
Why? Why do you think they did that? I mean, this is some kind of disturbing. Normally, it's evidence. And I found that kind of similarities also with
there's
buildings.
Different kinds of evidence. What kind of evidence? When you've got decaying body parts and the potential for disease, do you leave the building up or do you take it down? What evidence are we talking about might exist in there?
Well, I know that there was the local news, and I played this a few times on the show, that as let's say, during the first few minutes of this, criminal act, they were saying there are still explosive found in the building. There were still explosive found in the buildings. Few times from several local news that they never really play on national news. Yeah, so I always wonder who can put explosive into the buildings.
I'm sure the local news are experts at explosives, but let me explain that, because I was watching the footage like everybody else at the time. For a fellow out of Phoenix, Richard Sherrill, I spoke to after he got back. Now, he went up independent of the government and did some investigation. But everybody says there's no investigation because they wouldn't let the press in. What qualifies the press to be investigators?
Well, I say, first of all, not just the press, the fact that there were the same news coming from the government that they found bombs in explosive bombs.
No. Let me explain that then. This is what I got from Cheryl when he got there. First, the BATF had a model of I think it was a mace missile. I don't recall what kind of missile. It was just a display. A mace missile is about 18 feet long, but they had a little model of it in their room, and it was found in the debris. There was a burnt fire extinguisher that somebody thought was a bomb. So the firemen that were in there,
wow.
If they saw anything that they thought might be a bomb, they were advised to be careful. And it's understandable. Maybe there are more bombs. So every time they found something, they evacuated the building. The bomb crew went in. And at least 3 times, objects were taken out and put in the wicker basket and hauled away.
Question
now,
is,
there's no report that any of those were bombs, though. It was just the caution that was imposed on the rescue people or the people going into the building to see if there were any living people or things like that. So it's not just because the press says and just because they put something in the wicker basket doesn't mean it's a bomb.
No, I don't mean that everything that comes out of the box or the TV, I believe it, but there is a point, though. There were a lot of things that really made no sense. For example, now I'm diverting. The main reason why I want you here to say your opinion, or at least defend yourself from whatever, let's say, opinions they had about you, and that's the main thing. But since you're bringing up Oklahoma City bombing, and I've been studying a little bit the case, and maybe I don't have the experience you have, but I have 2 eyes and 2 ears, and I watch at least different type of documents. One thing that really always made me completely, perplexed. And I wasn't me talking. I'm talking about several, let's say, experts. For example, generals out there. They have a lot of,
Ben Partain, right?
Yeah, probably one of them.
Let's talk about him because I looked into what he put out. Now, Ben Partain was in the Air Force, and he's an expert at aerial bombing. Aerial bombing is bombs usually weighing a ton or more, 500 pounds a ton, 2,000-pound bombs. 1,200-pound bombs, the stuff we used in Vietnam. They fall from great heights, and when they go through the roof of a building, the only exit point in that building when that big bomb hits the bottom and goes off, detonates, is upward. And so the motion in that situation is pushing outward.
So you truly believe that it was just Timothy McVeigh disgruntled veteran?
Well, let me continue about Partain. Early on, now, unfortunately, in the fax days back then, I was using thermal paper, and I had some cheap thermal paper, but I was faxed and I'd like to find it again, and if anybody out there has got a better copy of it, some people had bond paper fax machines, but he put out a formula for the brisance of an explosion. And so I used that formula, but now when he used the formula, he said the bomb was 50 feet from the building. In fact, it was 8 feet plus 4 feet of planter. It was only 12 feet from the building, not 50 feet. And the dissipation of the brisance, or the velocity of an explosion, it dissipates rapidly. In 50 feet, it's negligible. And so he's saying from 50 feet away, it couldn't possibly cause that damage. But then using his formula at 12 feet, it was and I don't remember the numbers, but it was a much higher brisance.
Okay.
Now let's go back to the explosion too. In this case, McVeigh had described to the other guy that not the brother, but another guy that went to prison that lived in western Arizona, out in the Burl country. His wife, in testimony, described that McVeigh, while he was there, took some soup cans and laid them out in a triangle. And he says, if I ignite this first one, and then just milliseconds later do the next 2, and then milliseconds after that do the next 3, like, bowling pins, that the first one begins pushing the other 5 barrels into the building, then the second to explode, propelling the third one, fourth and fifth one into the building. And so now I get my explosion inside of the building, and all the force is going that way. So, and the description that's in the book, The American Terrorist, by 2 newsmen who McVeigh gave permission. He indicated to me that he had given permission to them to publish the book after his death. And he describes then the making of the bomb, but not the detonation in the book. Maybe the newsman didn't understand it or chose not to put it in the book, but he discussed it with this guy's wife. So now we've got this explosion going into the building, and it didn't blow out. It blew up. A massive concussion. It's an air movement bomb. I don't remember, aerothermal or aero something, but that's moves a lot of air, more than an HE. HE is to destroy things, but that kind of bomb moves massive amounts of air. And so we've got a building that's built earthquake style. The bottom three floors of the building, the basement and the next two floors, are very rigid construction. On top of that, the additional floors, flexible construction to withstand earthquakes, because it's an earthquake area, and we'll get to the the seismograph in a minute too.
I didn't mention that, but I'm glad you brought it up. Anyway, at least I don't want to. This is something was mostly. I will talk back about Oklahoma. I will do a dedicated show. And, of course, I will bring the other side, and you're welcome to bring your side if you want to, or anybody else who wants to say that.
Well, I'd be glad to explain with my research, but let me suggest if you go to my webpage and look up OKC bombing, you'll see two seismographs, not one, and it explains, as Mr. Brown explained to me, that there were two. When I talked to Brown, he said, I said, everybody says there were two explosions, and he said, in this tone, I never said there were two explosions. I said there were two events. And so I asked him what events were. He said, well, one travels in the subsurface strata, and the other one travels on the surface. And I don't remember which one travels faster than the other. So when there's something like that explosion in Oklahoma City, one arrives there before the other. And if you look closely at the seismographs, they're identical except one. The second one is weaker. It's smaller, but it's identical in shape.
Okay. Listen, as I said, I don't want to, I just brought it up. I'm glad I didn't know what you knew about Oklahoma. I'm glad now that I know your position. At least, it's good to know. I always challenge myself. I don't have dogma in anything. So I'm always open to debate, or at least relearn things. Right now, for me, of course, the evidence, or at least what I was able to call evidence from different news and articles, things like that, I really believe that Mr. Timothy McVeigh, he wasn't alone into this. In my opinion, was just a patsy, at least part of the show, but it wasn't the main show. Pretty much.
He wasn't alone, but he wasn't a patsy. Now, I did investigate it. I contacted the seismologist. I contacted a number of people in Oklahoma City. When I investigate, I don't read somebody else's article and draw my conclusions from that.
I understand.
I go to the source.
What do you know about it? What do you know about it?
To come on and
I would love that.
Discuss the Oklahoma City bombing with you in greater detail.
More than me, I have somebody that I had on my show that is like he put a lot of effort and time producing a documentary about Oklahoma City. Maybe it would be great to have you both, and you can all have bring your facts. My other question, I've just briefly, I heard about that some of the ATF agents, they were told to not come, and many of them, they didn't come. What did you hear about that?
Well, according to Shuro, the ATF agents work out of the office, not in the office. The suits work in the office, the field men work out. They were in some town or fire department somewhere around Oklahoma City giving bomb training, BATF training to these people, but they're never in the office except the leader goes up and gets his instructions. So most of the team that was out of there doesn't even go in the office unless they have a good reason to. And so we only had two ATF agents and a secretary in the building, and that's all that's normally there in a business day.
I think I'm so glad, seriously, that I found out this about you, because at this point I would love, and I really mean it seriously, to know, to have you on the show with, I forgot his name. He was on my show a couple of years ago. He was the producer of this latest documentary about Oklahoma City. And I know he spent a lot of months, I think years on this project. And I would love to have you both, bring in both facts, because people deserve the facts that at least they can judge, they can make their conclusion with both sides. That's the spirit of the show. I'm not going to just bring you my side or what I think, but I like to bring you, of course, the other side or the all sides. That's the idea. So anyway, I appreciate that, Gary. That's great. I want to give you 2 minutes, whatever you want to add. At least I'm glad you had a chance to rebuke to Gary, excuse me, to, what is his name? My gosh.
Well, let me, I don't need 2 minutes, on this subject. In about 2012, finally I decided to, contact somebody that I was with on, April 19th, 1995, and I was not in Oklahoma City, by the way. Now, rather than me tell you who it was, we did a radio show in 2012, and if you go to my webpage, outpost-of-freedom.com, near the top, you'll see a link to an MP3, which is Gary Hunt Exposed John Doe 4, I think is the title of it. Now, it's long, but you need to listen to the whole thing because there's a message in it. And you need to understand that message. So those that really want to know if I was John Doe 4, when it gets to about the hour mark, you will find out who the witness was, well respected in the Patriot community. But you need to listen to the whole thing because it kind of lays out a problem in the Patriot community, which is false accusations.
Okay, at least what I'll do, honestly, I will put the link directly on my website, Love Guns Freedom, to that interview. So that would make it even easier. If I want people to have a chance to go through all the information as good as possible. Okay, that's, I think, would be better too. Listen, any other thing you want to say about since the last time we talked? Since I know that the judge in Oregon at least was kind of mad at you. Any other news?
Well, I think right now she's mad at the U.S. Attorney. I'm sorry, the U.S. Shyster Office. They called me a blogger, so I call them shysters now.
Okay.
And when they call me a journalist, which I consider myself to be, and other people consider myself to be for the 24 years I've been doing it, that if they can call me a blogger, I can call them shysters, and I do. But that is on the blog, and the most recent article, Tilting at Windmills Redux. Kind of explains what the current status is.
Perfect. Listen, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I'm going to work on this a very interesting segment that is going to be an hour, hopefully, to have you and to have the producer of this documentary that was a Fable Lies? I forgot. Anyway, some sort of a Noble Lies, I guess, or something like that. Anyway, I'm sure you know the documentary. Probably you watch it too. But anyway, regardless.
Well, I've heard about it. I don't bother watching those because generally they're made up of news broadcasts, and I don't know that they investigated it rather than grab stuff off the internet, which is why John Doe 4 is so common. We found at one point over 40,000 occurrences of Gary Hunt John Doe 4.
Okay, but I want to give. As I said, we'll find out what he did. In my opinion, what he did, this documentary, I watched it. It was kind of even deeper than just going on the internet. But we'll figure it out. Listen, I want to thank you again, and what I say, good luck for your journalist job. I really appreciate what you're doing with these chronicles of Burns. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Gary. Thank you. That was Gary Hunt, and I really appreciate it, by the way. As I said, I mean it. When somebody said that, hey, I have facts and I have my own reasoning and evidence that all the things that I believe, or at least what my research brought me, because I don't have a belief like a dogma. As I said, this is not a dogma. I don't have any dogma, okay, at least when it comes to these things. So I'm open to listen, and I would like to bring, of course, him and the other side. And right now I forgot the name, but I know that I had him on my show a couple years ago. He was the producer of the latest documentary about Oklahoma City. In my opinion, was done a good job, but as I said, I like to challenge him. With maybe Gary Hunt can give him some good challenges with reasoning and facts. All right, guys, this is the spirit of the show. As you can hear, nothing is set in stone. We always want to, let's say, challenge everything. That's the idea, okay? I appreciate your help. Appreciate your support. Please, if you want to keep this format, complete freedom of speech, I appreciate you really that you can help me out. Go to www.zanna.us. You can download any of my songs. You can find my new ebook, lyrics and poems. You can, of course, also find a link to Zanna Coffee and everything else I do. Don't forget the CCW classes. If you're in Arizona, I think you're going to love them. All right, God's willing, I will talk to you next Sunday. Ciao.
Do you want social justice? Now I give you social justice.
The Zanna way.
Don't trade on us the Freedom Rifle by Zanna. The most affordable military-grade semi-automatic AR-15 rifle in M4 configuration. Chambered in 223 Wild that can shoot both 5.56 NATO and 223 Remington. 4 minutes of angle for just $499. Made in the USA. Get your Freedom Rifle now. We need every law-abiding American armed with knowledge and at least one military rifle ready to defend good against evil. With every Don't Trade on Us rifle, you will get free parchment replica of the United States Constitution, free digital CD, Don't Trade on Us, free ebook, How to Become a Rifleman, free t-shirt, Slaves Are Never Armed, I Am Not a Slave, free 30-round magazine, We're Allowed by the Law, free laser engraved ejection port, Don't Trade on Us, for just $499. Go to www.freedomrifle.com, www.freedomrifle.com.